Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 22 Op FLS. Chapter 461. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The shelling is only the beginning of the battle. If you count it, Marine and the undead fleet have met for the third time. What really determines the outcome of a battle of this scale still depends on the high-end combat power of the two sides. On the side of the undead, Governor A brought the bones and the recovered Cirxia interest to lead the captain of the undead fleet under his command. On the Marine side, Marine Marshal Gang Bone Kong was headed, and a large number of combat power was deployed. Like Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Admiral and Garp are also among them. Sengoku and Zephyr were not dispatched. They were both commanding the Marine fleet to withdraw from this sea area in an orderly manner, and had no time to participate in the previous battle. Theoretically, the high-level combat power of an undead fleet cannot be equal to the Marine fleet with 200 warships. As a result, on the surface, the high-end combat power of the two sides is inextricably tied. It's suspicious, but think about it carefully, it's not incomprehensible that this happens. The undead party where Yidu was located really couldn't win, even if Marine had already released the water. Advertisement. Marine has no plans to win at all. Marine's purpose was to drag the undead fleet from the beginning, to allow Marine's warships enough time to withdraw from this sea area, and did not intend to fight desperately. As a result, the undead fleet was at an absolute disadvantage and relied on AE Governor's one-handed death field to suppress Marine's demon fruit power, and the battle was abruptly stopped without a crash. However, it is really not easy for AE Governor to achieve this level, and he is not without paying the price. At this moment, Governor A has a sense of sight that he has become an undead meat sandbag. With sufficient combat power, Gang Gukong and Garp joined forces to launch a frantic attack on Governor A. Governor A only released a slash in the direction of Marine at the beginning. After that, Marshal Marine Gangukong and Garp stuck together like sharks smelling fishy. And here is the beginning of AE Governor's way of releasing himself. Gangji Yukong and Garp will dance with the fist strengthened by armament hockey so that the sky is full of afterimages. Two pieces of different fist shadows sandwiched to Yidu in one after another. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. He could not decide where AE Governor was and which direction he would fly in. Help him decide either Garp's Iron Fist or Steel-Boned Marine 6 styles. Many postures of shame to the extreme, AE Governor successfully unlocked, with the help of Gangukong and Garp. This situation of suppression and inability to fight back is different from that of the Red Earl. Governor A couldn't use the Black Coffin to contend Gang Bone Kong and Garp like he had conspired against the Red Earl before. The two men were very cautious when they happily tortured him. It's a beeping dog. Yidu, a self-identified gentleman, couldn't help cursing in his heart, showing the degree to which Gang Bone Kong and Garp were frantic. Advertisement. After playing to the back, Gangukong and Garp went crazy. Due could subtly feel that in the process of being madly beaten, he was slowly not regarded as an opponent in the eyes of these two old madmen, but a kind of props. It is similar to the tumbler-shaped punching bag between two boxers during a duel exercise. Fortunately, Governor A is an undead, otherwise God knows what it will be like to be tortured. The tragic experience of a Yidu did not end until Marine successfully withdrew from the sea area just now, and the three people who were beaten unanimously breathed a sigh of relief. After Marine and the undead fleet exchanged their positions, the two sides can be said to be very satisfied and both achieved their respective goals. So neither the Marine nor the undead fleet temporarily stopped fighting. Qin Luo and a group of people on the Tree of Omniscience witnessed the whole process of Marine's transformation. From the beginning, the undead fleet wrapped Marine's ass and besieged Marine on the shore of O'Hara. It turned into a parallel line between the two sides. In the end, the Marine fleet came over and surrounded the undead fleet. Marine is really a cartilage. I don't believe that Marine will not read the research report sent today. In this case, it is so easy to send out the sea where another undead fleet is sealed. I dare to talk to the outside world. I am defending justice. Dr. Kuroha had no feeling for Marine who wanted to kill O'Hara. Now that he saw Marine's actions, his disgust was added. Alvia had seen Marine's face as early as in Chateau's city. Although he was very contemptuous, he would not be as shocked as Dr. Kuroha. Dr. Kuroha, let the people below start preparing to line up. By the way, let us know all the plans and things. Next, we need the cooperation of these people. Qin Luo said. Because just now, the undead fleet began to break the seal here. When the seal was lifted, it was also the time when the undead and marine took O'Hara a sword. It is not too early for Chin Luo to let Dr. Kuroha prepare. The moon in the sky was round at this time, and among the undead fleet, Circeili, who was responsible for breaking the seal, stood at the forefront of a magically modified marine warship. Her palms are facing upwards, and 2 energy balls are floating in her hands. Advertisement. One is a blood cell condensed by sufficient flesh and blood, with a strong smell of blood. The other is a soul ball. The soul ball is composed of powerful or resentful souls, and countless souls in the center of the transparent sphere are wailing. Obviously, after Chin Luo dealt with the souls in Sel Shali's soul burning demon fire, she added a new batch of them. The moonlight of the full moon, the turbulent tide, and the thing in Circeili's hand. One by one, unique powers gradually merged into the devil's tomb on the bottom of the sea. The sound of rumbling sounded, and that piece of land on the bottom of the sea continued to rise. This should be the correct way to seal the altar in the literature. Alvia and Chin Luo are still wondering whether the undead fleet will not be able to summon the tomb of the devil without the seal rune, nor will it be able to break the seal on it. But all this now has an answer. A huge port, a simple altar, obeyed Circeili's call, slowly surfaced. Everything that was sleeping in the sea reappeared in the sky after a lapse of many years. After the ascent was over, not only Marine, but Chin Luo and others were shocked. The port that seals the other undead fleet is not just close to O'Hara Island. But this port is a part of O'Hara at all. The port emerging from the sea perfectly fits the cliffs of O'Hara. Perhaps 1,000 years ago, the person responsible for sealing the undead fleet of the Devil's Tomb used the power of the seal and the altar to peel off the port from O'Hara and sink it to the bottom of the sea. To better protect the seal. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 462. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The port where another undead fleet was sealed is very special. The very intuitive point is that it is long, very long. The port is 2 avenues extending from O'Hara. Each avenue is 90 meters wide and more than 1,000 meters long. The avenue is made of a kind of white stone. After being immersed in seawater for thousands of years, some white parts can still be seen under the seaweed and coral reef of Madara Barge. In the middle and on both sides of the road-like port, there is another fleet that has been sealed. Like Governor A, who was awakened by Chin Luo in the shipwreck bay, the size of this undead fleet is 300. It seems that every undead fleet comes standard with 300 ships. And such a fleet, there are at least 2 in the hands of the undead. It is conceivable that thousands of years ago, how powerful the Church of the Dead belonged to the undead fleet. At that time, perhaps only one such fleet was enough to rule the entire West China Sea, and the Church of the Dead had 4 or 5 such fleets with 300 standards. But in this era, even if it was marine, the entire fleet could barely make up a fleet of 300. Of course, marine warships are far superior to the undead fleet in terms of quality and firepower. After all, the times are different. The wooden ship of the undead was already the largest sailing ship 1,000 years ago, but in marine steel warship, it is a younger brother. But this does not prevent the undead fleet from ruling the entire sea at that time. These ships are evenly distributed on both sides of the 2 avenues of the port. There are 4 rows in total, with 75 ships in each row. 300 ships were imprisoned in the harbor, and the power of the seal was attached to the ships and their skeletons in a black form. Advertisement. The erosion of time and seawater caused a lot of damage to ships. These ships have been magically modified by the power of the undead, and as long as they have sufficient flesh and blood power, they can recover slowly. This was confirmed in previous battles. The damage of these ships now shows that the flesh and blood of this fleet has been polished by the seal. Perhaps the black surface of the ships and skeletons is not caused by the seal. It is the coat of black matter condensed on the surface when the undead fleet fights the sacred seal power. Unlike the damaged ship, the bones on the ship are basically intact. Except for a few seaweeds and corals, nothing else has changed these skeletons. The people nearby could even feel that the black surface of the skeleton was emitting a dark and dim light. At the end of the 2 port roads, there is a white stone platform, which is octagonal and cone-shaped as a whole. The stone platform continued to rise from the corners to the middle, and became a platform when it rose to half the distance. There is a step on each side of the stone. Various symbols and images were burned on the stone platform. In the middle part of the stone platform was erected a half-person high column, and the top of the column was a groove for placing the sealed rune. This is the altar that Qin Luo and Alvia saw before. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The undead fleet failed to obtain the sealed rune, and even the fake in the hands of the Red Earl did not get it. It is impossible to break the seal easily. So Esser Shali, who was responsible for breaking the seal, chose the most direct method, breaking it violently. The reason why cults are called cults, they all have one thing in common. That is, blood sacrifices in case of unresolved problems. Sir Shali and Governor A should have discussed it early in the morning, so knowing that there will be strong resistance from Marine and Norez Kingdom troops in Chateau City, they chose to attack Chateau City. For the sufficient flesh and blood energy in Chateau City. Advertisement. The undead fleet has converted many new undead soldiers in Chateau City. These are the sacrifices prepared by Aidu and Sir Shali, or the purpose of these soldiers being converted is to serve as storage tanks for flesh and blood power. Floating on the sea, standing quietly on the ship, these new undead who have been passive. As Esser Shali chanted, the black matter was continuously drawn out of the undead. Forcibly stripping the flesh and blood energy from the undead is the same as extracting the vitality from the living person. It is not a comfortable process. The souls of the undead were wailing, and their flesh and blood shrank a little and turned into black matter, exposing the skeleton inside. Then the skeleton also began to tremble, making a sound of CK. These sounds gathered together, and a cold wind from hell blew on the sea, making everyone who heard it stand upright. I have a very bad premonition. Aokiji, who has never shuddered before, experienced this novel feeling for the first time, but this is obviously not a good thing, and the anxiety in his heart is getting worse. It's up to you. Kizaru took out a cigar and bit it in his mouth. He tried to light it several times with a lighter, but it was unsuccessful. In the end, Akainu squeezed the cigar head with his hand that turned into lava. The entire marine executives were in a state of tension. Garp held the senbei in his hand but did not start eating, and Sengoku also had a gloomy face. No way. The black matter that was pulled out gathered in the sky, like thick ink pouring in the sky, blocking the moonlight little by little. No one will feel calm when he sees this scene. Advertisement. Gangu Kong wondered if his decision to allow the undead fleet to destroy the seal was wrong. Once Pandora's box was opened, disasters would follow. In the end, Gangu Kong reluctantly threw this idea out of his mind, and his decision was to preserve Marine's main combat power. The undead who were sacrificed by blood after squeezing the last trace of black matter also lost their souls and turned into dead things. The overwhelmed bones turned into a pile of powder, either sprinkled on the ship of the undead, or dissolved into the sea. Thanks to the blessings of these undead, the black matter in the sky is also filled to a certain extent. The tumbling black matter condensed the appearance of a skull. Sir Shali pointed at the altar, and the skull rushed towards the altar with a grinning grin. As soon as the two touched, a blazing light of the holy god lit up on the altar. Probably feeling the natural hostile power 3.1 or the threat of being destroyed, the altar took out all the power contained in it. Black and white blended together, and the sound was like hot oil spilling on the ice cubes. Numerous small and low explosions were heard on the altar, and they were immediately covered by another similar explosion. In the end, the sacred power of the altar was exhausted, and the faint light radiating from the altar disappeared and turned into ordinary brown stones. The column-high platform used to place the seal rune cracked and exploded into pieces. After completing the destruction of the altar, the black matter turned its direction and rushed towards the sealed fleet. Divide into multiple strands and wrap all the ships. Marine, the undead, and Qin Luo, everyone was holding their breath. The critical time has come, and the undead fleet here is about to be unblocked. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 463. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The undead fleet sealed in the Devil's Tomb began to move after the black matter swept through it. The sealed skeleton is like drying up to the cracked ground and encountering running water, eagerly seeking flesh and blood energy. The overwhelming black matter was completely absorbed in an instant. The skeleton that has absorbed enough flesh and blood energy emits a puff, puff, heartbeat, which is the fetal movement of the sleeping soul being awakened. The black shell attached to the bones cracked little by little, making a click, click sound. The black shell shook off, revealing the white bones inside. At the same time, black matter overflowed from the bones, covering the whole body of these bones. A little bit of flesh and blood was constructed. The whole process didn't take much time. The Fourth Fleet, which was the fleet sealed in the Devil's Grave. The soldiers in the fleet returned to their appearances before they were alive, but unlike the soldiers of A.E. Governor, all of these soldiers were yellow-faced, thin and malnourished. In fact, it is quite good to be able to restore 19 to this level. Don't look at the undead soldiers of the Third Fleet where A.E. Governor is now greasy, just like a living person. But this is also the result after the Third Fleet slaughtered several port cities and gained massive amounts of flesh and blood energy. Not all the undead of the Fourth Fleet have been resurrected. There were also a few that turned into fly ash at the moment when the outer black shell was broken. The black matter left by the undead turned into fly ash was not left idle, but flew to a certain place in the fleet. Advertisement. The less powerful the undead obtains, the less flesh and blood energy, the faster the awakening speed will be. The undead who awakened and recovered, behaved exactly the same after gaining sanity. Kneel down on one knee toward the place where the black matter gathers. The undead kept waking up, and in the end only the skeleton where the black matter converged was left. The black matter that turned into a ball swallowed the skeleton in one bite, and then flew up. The spherical black substance cracked a hole, like a mouth, and a roar came out from it, vaguely as if to say, "Hungry." The spherical black material moved in the air, towards the direction of the Third Fleet of A.E. Governor. Along the way, 3 huge claws made of black material emerged from the sphere, and when they caught the undead, they sent it into the sphere. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. First, there were some kneeling undead of the Fourth Fleet, and when they reached the side of the Third Fleet, the number of black claws changed from 3 to 10, and the speed of grabbing the undead also increased. No matter what the strength of the undead, as soon as it is melted into the ball, there is no movement. Some of the captain-level combat power of the Third Fleet also failed to escape the fate of being caught by the Black Claw. Even Governor A and Cirxia have been patronized by Claw, but they just dodge it easily. After a gluttonous meal, the ball was finally satisfied. After stopping grabbing the undead, the sphere, which had expanded by an unknown number of times, began to shrink, finally revealing the center of the sphere. An undead like a girl. Her long silver hair wears a purple top hat, a purple and black gothic dress, and a flower fan in the same style as the clothes on her hand. Is the fan bone made of white jade or bone? Advertisement. The girl has a clean face, and her light blue eyes give people a feeling of dust. If it weren't for watching the girl emerge from the black material ball, no one would think that the girl was an undead. Thank you for the hospitality, Your Highness a ye Governor. The girl spread out the flower fan and covered her mouth and said to a ye Governor. Behind the fan, the girl made a lip-licking motion, and her 2 fangs showed her mouth along with the girl's behavior. It is my greatest honor to be satisfied with Saint Chirindo. Although the relationship with the girl in front of him was not good before, there are a lot of etiquettes that A.E. Governor should have, and he bends over to pay the courtesy. Thousands of years have passed, and the era is not that era, but both A.E. Governor and Chirindo have maintained the etiquette of that time. Perhaps this is called Zhuang, Nei, Bai, Han, Fan. The young girl is Chirindo in the mouth of A.E. Governor, the highest person in charge of the Fourth Fleet, and also the saint of the Church of the Dead at that time. If this is what Chirindo looked like before she was alive, this appearance alone should have her as a saint of the Church. Even the Church needs publicity. Charlene will be the saint. I don't know how many ignorant believers can be deceived by this picture. Haha, if His Royal Highness A.E. really feels honored, it's better to give Sel Shali to me. I feel that I haven't fully recovered. If there is a sacrifice that uses the same power as me, it should be almost the same. In the Church of the Dead, even if you are called a saint, don't expect her to really have a holy heart. On the contrary, Chirindo's character is quite bad. Just like Lion Majesty, once a prey is spotted, it will always linger next to the prey. It is not the first time that Due has been disgusted by this woman. Advertisement. Chirindo, I didn't want you to argue with me when I saved you. 1,000 years have passed. Now the entire church has only you and my fleet out of the seal. Many things are waiting for us to do. I don't care about just now. You have eaten the affairs of the crew of my fleet, so stop if some things happen. Duei said with a gloomy face. Well, I just want to say that neither I nor my subordinates have fully recovered from the 563. I did not expect that I slept for 1,000 years. I just woke up. You always have to tell me what the situation is now. During the time when your subordinates are eating, you have enough time to explain the situation to me. Sha Linduo said with her fan closed. At the same time Shirindo made a gesture towards her fourth fleet, and the undead soldiers who received her order stepped into the land of O'Hara from the port one by one. Shirindo's eating in his mouth naturally means hunting the residents of O'Hara to absorb the energy of flesh and blood. A long distance away, Shirindo could smell the living people on O'Hara Island. If it weren't for too few numbers, she wouldn't just let her own hands go. As for Marine, she guessed that she couldn't provoke it for the time being. The moment the undead stepped on O'Hara, Marine also acted. Marine has only two purposes for staying. One is to witness the whole process of unlocking the seal and send the information back. The other is to ensure that the destruction of O'Hara is complete, whether it is destroyed in the hands of Marine or the hands of the undead. The moment the undead stepped onto the land of O'Hara, O'Hara without a ship was doomed to end. Let's pass on the order, shelling the Tree of All-Knowing, and when the Tree of All-Knowing collapses, we will leave. The Marshal Gangu Kong gave the last order. He must ensure that the entire O'Hara and the materials related to the historical text are destroyed. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 464. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 200 Marine warships turned their bows one after another. According to Marshal Gangu Kong, it was adjusted to a position that could accurately bombard O'Hara and facilitate quick evacuation from this sea area after the bombardment. Those undead are lunatics. If they don't move fast enough, they will come to Marine if they are not sure. When Marine set out to bombard the Tree of All-Knowing, Qin Luo and his party were not idle. When the undead fleet lifted its seal, Dr. Kuroha brought Aldia to the gathering of O'Hara residents. Dr. Kuroha and Aldia were responsible for the work of the explanation. Regardless of the awkward expressions of the rest of the O'Hara scholar group, Dr. Kuroha stated all the plans for the past few days. Although they were told that someone would come to rescue them, none of the residents of O'Hara were happy. Although hiding in the Tree of Omniscience, it does not prevent them from observing the situation outside through the window. This would bring the undead ashore. Marine fired, and they didn't think the man in Dr. Kuroha's mouth could really save them. On the one hand, eager to live, on the other hand, they don't believe in rescue capabilities. O'Hara residents in panic are no different from other ordinary people. The knowledge of those scholars did not help them overcome fear. The whole scene became very noisy and out of control amidst the noise and arguments. This is going to die, where these people can care about order. Neither the prestige of Dr. Kuroha nor the surprise of Aldia's return gave them any more credibility for the plan that Dr. Kuroha said. Aldia, who watched this scene, couldn't help but align these people with those who committed suicide in Chateau City. Those who commit suicide clearly still have the way to escape, but they are afraid of death, and fear of running away is just useless, so they wait for death or commit suicide in the same place. Advertisement. This contradiction is exactly the same as the expression of fear. Scholars among these 1,600 people are even more desperate than the average person. Is this the reason why the survival probability is too low after rational thinking? At this moment, a black hole unfolded behind Dr. Kuroha, and stabilized after reaching a size large enough for 6 or 7 people to pass. Qin Luo walked out of the Kamui space in the image of Luyun. No matter how much you say, it's better to do it. The appearance of Kamui space and Luyun calmed the scene. I am Ryun, here to save your people. The opening is a self-introduction that Haki leaked. Qin Luo feels that at this time, he should change into a white robe, with a halo on his head, and 2 more wings behind his back. It is estimated that the effect will be better. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. After a brief shock, the scene became lively again, with various theories. Luyun God. Is it really Luyun God? God has come to save us. Isn't Luyun killed by Marine? I read a lot. Don't try to lie to me. It must be fake. Dr. Kuroha is demented, and you are also mentally retarded. Even if you are looking for someone to pretend to be the god of flowing clouds, don't find a bald guy. You don't have any sincerity. Oh, no matter how real I care about him, I just need to save me. What happened? Shin Luo turned his head to look at the other person with a face full of confusion. Advertisement. The members of the O'Hara Scholars Group didn't say anything, they still looked dumbfounded. JPG. Dr. Kuroha followed Shin Luo's look, turned his head to the other side and whistled, pretending not to see Shin Luo. Looking at Alvia again, she gave me a look of despair on what I could do. It turns out that Dr. Kuroha and Alvia have come forward and haven't dealt with O'Hara's number 1000 or 600. In the end, he had to come by himself. Shin Luo straightened his thoughts. The first step to be done next is to quiet these 1600 people to listen to him. Don't blame his actions for being too rough at this time. Shin Luo raised his right hand. With the blessing of his physical ability, the palm of his right hand suddenly became larger, and then he slapped his palm to the unmanned bookshelf beside him. The wooden bookshelf turned into a pile of wooden scum under Shin Luo's attack. The sudden huge movement caused the people on the court to calm down again and look at Shin Luo. No matter what doubts you have, I don't have the time to answer you, and I don't want to answer you. As long as you know that I am Lu Yun, no one can pretend to have this ability. Shin Luo said there was a pause here, and he found that these people still looked at him with doubts after seeing his strength. Following their eyes, Shin Luo's hand kept moving up, and then he touched the position of his bald head. Shin Luo took a deep breath, and let these people fend for themselves. In the end, Shin Luo changed his mind under Alvia's eager gaze. I'm not dead. There were some accidents with my hair. It doesn't matter. Now you have two choices. You can either wait for death here or try to walk through the space door behind me. Right now, besides death, you only have this. There is a way to try to escape. What else is there to hesitate? As for those who plan to hide themselves, I advise you to dispel this idea. Neither Marine nor the undead will let you go. Marine is about to begin shelling O'Hara soon. Even if you get away with it, the hungry undead will dig you out of hiding and kill you. Shin Luo said it all. His rule has always been to save only those who can save themselves. Those who can't persuade them to let them die. Advertisement. After Shin Luo spoke, the entire library fell silent. Everyone was thinking about Shin Luo's words. They had no choice but death and the door. What is helping them decide is not Shin Luo's words, nor is it Dr. Kuroha's suggestion, nor their own decision. It's Marine's artillery fire. Marine's first round of shelling at O'Hara was a salvo of 200 warships. The roaring cannon played a ruinous movement. Marine did not know that everyone on O'Hara Island was now gathered in the Tree of All-Knowing. This first round of shelling was aimed at the residential area on O'Hara Island. In an instant, the surrounding area of the Tree of All-Knowing turned into a sea of flames, and the explosion caused the Tree of All-Knowing to shake. This is not the original work, but the number of warships is 200. Shin Luo promised that as long as there are 2 rounds of such a salvo, the Tree of All Knowledge will be played. Stretching one's head is a sword, and shrinking one's head is also a sword. Under the artillery fire, someone finally wanted to understand the door of space running behind Shin Luo. This is a dead horse is a living horse, doctor. Even if you don't believe in this power, you have no choice, right? After someone took the lead, more and more people began to walk in the door, and some hesitating began to follow blindly. Human beings are rooted in inferiority, distrust, selfishness, lack of courage to face the unknown, dare not to choose, and group blind obedience. The more the moment of disaster, the greater the dark side of man. This is not the first time that such a rescued Shin Luo has seen it. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 465. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It was indeed a lot of time before, but once it started moving, the number 1600 people passed through a space gate that could pass by 8 people quite quickly. Coupled with the urging shelling behind them, these people are completely incapable of moving their feet before, and their legs and feet are not good. Halfway through, the shelling of the Marine fleet began to fall on the Tree of All-Knowing. 2 rounds, only 2 rounds, the Tree of Omniscience burned in the baptism of artillery fire. But this is much better than Shin Luo initially expected, and he has suffered one more round than he thought. How should I put it? A library with an all-wood structure is inherently unscientific. Maybe, the person in charge who built this tree of omniscience turned around and bought a large amount of insurance for the building. The upper layer of the tree of all-knowing in the flames began to collapse, and the burning large fragments fell to one layer, causing a panic. Of course, it was just a panic. With Qin Luo present, a repulsive shield would block these. After everyone evacuated, Qin Luo waved his hand and the corpses collected in the Kamui space were moved to the lobby on the first floor of the Tree of All Knowledge. 1,600 corpses, instead of the residents of O'Hara, slept here. In order to ensure that no flaws would be revealed, Qin Luo attracted flames and gave the dead souls of Château's city a decent cremation. At least they don't need to worry about their corpses becoming a tonic for the undead who killed them. Advertisement. Everything was done, and Li Datao's Plan 537 went quite smoothly. Now even if Marine sends someone to check, it is impossible to find that the people on O'Hara have evacuated. If there are no other accidents, O'Hara will completely disappear from the world's vision, and will not appear until some specific time. Looking at the burning tree of omniscience for the last time, he really liked the scenery on the canopy, but it was a pity. Such a large flammable building, the living target of the Marine fleet, is really the kind that won't shoot crookedly with your eyes closed. Qin Luo couldn't think of any way to protect it. Qin Luo, who had left O'Hara, first came to Shandora, the golden city on the Sky Island, and released the number 1,600 in Kamui space. Compared to the empty and barren Kamui space, there is no bright Kamui space, and the environment of the Sky Island is not known how many times better. The 1,600 people in O'Hara were surprised when they learned that Sky Island was where they would live in the future. No, the big surprise has turned into a fright, so that most people can't believe that everything in front of them is real, thinking that they are dead and their souls have come to heaven. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Indeed, the Sky Island floating above the clouds, like a fairyland, can easily be misunderstood as a paradise. But not everyone knows that there is a white sea at an altitude of 7,000 meters, and above it, there is a white sea at 10,000 meters. Even if you have heard of it, you may not have been here. The entire O'Hara had actually been to Sky Island. It is estimated that only Alvia was brought up by Golden Lion accidentally. As for the erudite O'Hara scholar group, it is not Qin Luo who underestimated them. These people are veteran squatting homes, typical dead houses, and you can see the illustrations of the Sky Island in the books. Advertisement. However, it seems that both the scholars of O'Hara and the civilians like the environment of the Sky Island, and each of them regards it as a paradise. Qin Luo hopes that after the freshness of these people fades, he can still like it as always. The Sky Island is located in the Baibai Sea. It is no richer than the islands on the Qinghai Sea, and there is no caravan. I didn't see it, just a few apples were offered by Analu as treasures, and they became tributes that only he could enjoy. This kind of person is ashamed to say that he is a god, and he has never seen such a cheap god. Qin Luo guarantees at most that these 1,600 people of O'Hara can live, but they want to live well. Haha, Qin Luo has no plans to provide fresh food takeaway services for the time being. At that time, we can only expect these people to show the quality of hard work. You are scholars, you just need to have enough spiritual food. The golden city of Shandora, the cultural relics and relics everywhere, just study it. Qin Luo called Gon Fuer over. This old man who had also been a god is now like Qin Luo's butler on the Sky Island. He is basically on call. Let Ganfer take Alvia and Dr. Kuroha to the place where Qin Luo placed living supplies and books. Qin Luo's mission to the island on this trip has basically been completed. Next, O'Hara's number 1,600 people need to start adapting to the life of Sky Island. Whether they like it or dislike it, they must adapt. For a long time to come, the golden city of Shandora will be their residence. Qin Luo also kept Alvia to help complete the reconstruction of O'Hara, and also gave her enough time to reminisce with her daughter Robin. Before leaving, Qin Luo held a meeting with O'Hara's main management personnel. Not many people attended the meeting, only 7. Qin Luo, Alvia, Dr. Kuroha, former Marine Lieutenant General Saren, deputy captain of Alvia's fleet, and the main manager of another O'Hara scholar group. Advertisement. It's reasonable that although Saren saved the 33 other crew members on Alvia's ship, he was not qualified to participate in this meeting. Didn't you see that except for him and Qin Luo at the meeting, everyone else was born and raised in O'Hara? But no one doubted Seren's character and kindness. Due to Qin Luo's intervention, he escaped the fate of being frozen into a giant popsicle by Jiyu. So Qin Luo simply transferred him to be the safety supervisor. No one can do it with Lieutenant Marine. The meeting is just a statement. Generally, this is an opening statement, Papa Papa, and then a leader will give a speech, Papa Papa. Qin Luo really wants to be the snack, but in public, he can only be the leader. Hey, why are you so disappointed? Alvia, the construction of the new O'Hara is up to you, and you must take care of it. Seren, you must be prepared, not only to guard against spies outside, but also to pay attention to those hiding in O'Hara. Spies and mice. What Qin Luo said is to cultivate Alvia's majesty in the new O'Hara, to help her become the manager of the new O'Hara, and to control and monitor O'Hara for Qin Luo. Correspondingly, Qin Luo sent to Dr. Kuroha to continue studying the mission of the undead fleet. What Qin Luo did was straightforward, without any disguise. Naturally, Dr. Kuroha would not fail to see it. On the contrary, he was very cooperative. On the one hand, it is in return for Qin Luo to save O'Hara. As the leader of the O'Hara Scholars Group, he is concerned with studying historical texts. As for whom he works for, does it matter at this time? And the new O'Hara also needs a new leader. Alvia is very suitable. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 466. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Qin Luo has plans to develop Sky Island and the Fishman Island. As a big power, he doesn't even have a decent city in his hands. It's really not quite plausible. Qin Luo's requirements are not high, and there is no world government's aspirations to unify the world, as long as there are a few cities and strongholds that can be easily obtained. In Qin Luo's vision, the Fishman Island and the Sky Island will become two themed cities in the future. With his asylum, Qin Luo is not worried about anyone daring to mess around. He didn't plan to be a king. Qin Luo had to be a god, the kind of temple building. Hey, repairing a temple for yourself, is there a way to curse yourself? However, it is not time for these ideas to be implemented. The immigrants of O'Hara and the original residents of the Sky Island need time to adapt to contact with outsiders. Qin Luo told Alvia to take care of these people in O'Hara and don't let them run around. There is still an Ani Road on the Sky Island. Ani Road was arranged by Qin Luo some time ago, clearly, knowing that he is a man with his tail sandwiched. But if someone wants to give away the head forcibly, I'm sorry, Qin Luo can't save it and can't control it. Qin Luo and Alvia were discussing the future plans of the O'Hara Islanders in the temporary small house when the simple wooden door was pushed open. At this time, everyone who was qualified to enter this door should be busy. Could something unexpected happen? It is impossible for ordinary people to come, otherwise the guards outside would not let people in. Advertisement. The result was beyond Qin Luo's expectations, and it was reasonable. The person here is not anyone Qin Luo thought of, but a 6-year-old Lori, Alvia's daughter Robin. Robin was raised by Alvia at her brother's house since he was a child, but most people in O'Hara knew that Robin was Alvia's daughter. The guard outside the door naturally knew it, so he didn't stop Robin. After entering the door, little lowly Robin and Alvia looked at each other quietly, and no one spoke. In order to break the embarrassment, Qin Luo coughed lightly and said, "It's been a long time, little Robin. I remember you. You are the bald brother." Little Lolita pointed to Qin Luo's head and said. The sweet voice of the girl is like a sharp arrow piercing Qin Luo's chest, piercing the heart of the old iron. Qin Luo wanted to tell the little Lolita aloud that he is not a bald head. Some hair has grown on his head these days, but it is not very obvious. But considering that he is just a child, why should he be more serious? And because of Alvia's relationship, Qin Luo is now Robin's cheap daddy, and there is no reason to care about her. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. With an embarrassing but friendly smile, Qin Luo continued, "Little Robin is here to find his mother. In this case, I will leave first." In order not to make the name of the 3-person room strange, Qin Luo didn't call yourself older brother again. After speaking, Qin Luo walked towards the door. The one who was just in the lobby on the first floor of the Tree of All Knowledge is not counted. This should be the first official meeting with his daughter Robin after many years since Alvia went to sea. Didn't you see that sparks between the two women are about to hit the earth? Then give the time to the mother and daughter, they should have a lot to say. Qin Luo is now facing a problem. He has no idea how to be a father or the father of a 6-year-old child. To talk about this information, among the people he knows, there is a good father Whitebeard. In addition, does the ghost father Abi in the Qin Luo network disk of the previous life count? Probably not. Advertisement. Qin Luo, who has nowhere to go, returned to Longgang City. It may be a coincidence that he came back. Qin Luo found out that an acquaintance was not there. Qin Luo found himself a cloak to be hooded, and his whole body was covered in shadow. Neither Taotu nor Tsunade knew about the burning of his hair. Qin Luo felt that he still had to hide it and not give the two girls a chance to laugh at him. What's more, there is a Hedan who is owed. If he sees it, it will not be far from spreading to the Fishman Island. After waiting for a while, no one came. Qin Luo decided to find someone to ask about the status of the Fishman Island. With a bang, Qin Luo appeared in the study of the Mermaid King Neptune. Since the Mermaid Island opened the undersea tunnel, Qin Luo has turned from a serious king to a finance. Great Knight of the Sea Neptune, I'm sorry that this is a thing of the past, and now he is Kiju Bibi Neptune. Neptune, who was dealing with the financial affairs of the Fishman Island that month, was taken aback by the strange figure around him. He was hurriedly looking for weapons, only to find that he had either a calculator or a ledger. As for the trident, Neptune has been useless for a long time, and I don't know which corner it was placed in. Nipton, what are you doing? Qin Luo, who didn't realize that his teleportation frightened others at all, was still looking at Neptune with a weird look. It turned out to be Flowing Cloud God. Hearing a familiar voice and thinking of this strange way of appearance in his memory, Neptune guessed the identity of the person who came. After knowing that he was an acquaintance, Neptune's tight body was paralyzed on the table, as if it were a salted fish with a halsey. Nipton, you have to strengthen your exercise. I haven't seen you for some time. How do I feel that you are a bit fatter? Qin Luo pulled the chair beside him and sat on the opposite side of Neptune. 0. Advertisement. Neptune wanted to tell Qin Luo that he was no longer a fighter. Neptune, who has abandoned his military skills, is now the best financial and accounting master of the Fishman Island, and is an excellent and weak logistics staff. However, in order not to be violently beaten by Qin Luo, Neptune chose to bury these words in his heart. The side of the table close to Qin Luo was full of ledgers, which severely affected him to look directly at Neptune. As a result, Qin Luo adjusted his position again. Taking advantage of this time, the adjusted Neptune completed a salted fish turnover, and the familiar Mermaid King returned. When did Lu Yunshan come back? I haven't received any notice. Neptune said respectfully. It's no wonder that there is a notice, you are the first person I see when I come back. Qin Luo complained like this in his heart, and then began to ask Taotu and others where they were going. I just came back, but how come I can't see Tsunade and them? I can't see them alone. Lu Yunshan, you don't know, the Big Mom pirate group has become more and more arrogant recently, and multiple pirate forces have started to make trouble on the island. Several adults in Tsunade have been busy dealing with these issues recently. At this time, I saw them in Dragon Palace. Neptune said anxiously. He looked at Qin Luo with a hesitant expression. Qin Luo didn't expect the situation in the Fishman Island to be so bad. It seems that the news of his death really made many forces want to eat the cake of the Fishman Island. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 467. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. I see. I'm sorry for the situation of the Fishman Island. Qin Luo couldn't ignore the grievances of Neptune, because a giant mermaid who was nearly 10 meters tall made a grievance of a little daughter-in-law. This picture is really horrifying. Qin Luo decided that he needed to comfort Neptune, but that was it. Qin Luo has his own plan, it is impossible to show up because of such a situation. Qin Luo wanted to take this opportunity to chop off all the paws that dared to reach him, and let everyone know what fear is. Otherwise, Qin Luo will have to prove it every time there is some news in the future. Qin Luo is very busy and doesn't have so much leisure time. The best result Qin Luo expected was that even if Qin Luo did not show up for a long time, no one would dare to hit the people in islands protected by Qin Luo. There is a saying that Kamui is like a prison, and God's grace is like a sea. What Qin Luo wants is this effect. Don't dare. Neptune shook his head quickly. Because of Qin Luo's asylum, the Fishman Island is now there. It was also the undersea tunnel created by Qin Luo that made the Fishman Island flourish today. The Fishman Island is so large and sparsely populated, as well as difficult to reach, so that his business has been unable to develop. Except for the export of sweets and jewelry, no other valuable commodities can be produced. Of course, selling yourself does not count. Neptune thought about these things very clearly, so he didn't dare to violate any decision of Qin Luo, or even make more demands. Don't worry, the current situation looks chaotic, in fact everything is under control. Don't look at the Big Mom pirate group uniting various forces to make trouble, but it's just a small fight. The Big Mom pirate group has been up to now. No entry yet, Qin Luo said. Advertisement. After Qin Luo's explanation, the Murloc King Neptune was more worried, and his face became more ugly. The Big Mom pirates did not actually enter the venue, and the Fishman Island has already been disputed. Then if the Big Mom pirate group enters the arena, wouldn't the Fishman Island instantly regress a few years ago? Qin Luo, you are really a comforting ghost. Well, you help me collect the latest information. Prepare everything related to Marine, O'Hara, Dead Fleet, and the Red Earl. I will see it when I come back. Now I will go to Tsunade and them. Qin Luo is not allowed. Suspiciously, he ordered to Neptune, and he wouldn't be soothing if he didn't comfort people. Yes. Neptune respectfully sent away the god tier. Although Qin Luo would not comfort people, Neptune could still understand. The meaning of Qin Luo's words shows that the chaos of the Fishman Island is under his control, and it is time for him to close the net after the Big Mom pirate group enters the field one after another. Regarding the situation of the Fishman Island, Qin Luo knew that he would not let the Fishman Island be destroyed. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Well, most of these are supplemented by Neptune's brain. The same sentence has two meanings in the ears of optimistic people and pessimistic people. As for whether Qin Luo really thinks that way, don't you have any idea in your heart to force it? With Bu, Qin Luo left quietly again, just as he came quietly, waving his sleeves, frightening others. After Qin Luo left, Neptune ordered the intelligence task assigned by Qin Luo, and once again plunged himself into the mountain of books, and enjoyed it. A big accountant who was delayed by the king's position, utterly uttered. Flowing clouds that appeared again came to a certain alley in Murloc Street. Advertisement. There was no alley in Murloc Street. At the beginning, the economy of the Fishman Island was basically export-oriented, so it was said to be a fisherman's street, but in fact it was just a street with a few houses and shops staggered. For some reason, Fishman Street was once synonymous with chaos, criminals, and darkness. It was a gathering place for illegal groups on the Fishman Island, and a place where a one-stop industry cluster of pornography, gambling, and drugs. The most iconic figures are the star of the drug industry, top-secret poison master Horty Jones and his new Murloc pirate group. The emergence of Luyun and undersea tunnels changed this situation. The Murloc Street has become a distribution center for pirate transactions and supplies. In order to provide more shops and cater to commercialization, new houses were built, and they were all connected small buildings instead of the previous ones. Separate cottages. Now the Murloc Street is full of rows of small shops and taverns, and things like the alleys are slowly becoming available. This is not the first time Qin Luo has come to Fishman Street. The reason why he chose to come here is because it is still the most chaotic place on the Fishman Island. Qin Luo feels that the probability of meeting Tsunade and others is the greatest. Qin Luo only changed his mask and walked on the street swayingly. The appearance of flowing clouds caused a rush of mask fever. Even nowadays, masks are everywhere on the street. Walking on the street, Qin Luo truly felt the chaos of the Fishman Island recently. When I came last time, I couldn't see anything at night. This time it was noon, and when the crowd was the most crowded, in those pubs and casinos, quarrels and fights would occur basically every other two. These situations were impossible for a while. Whether it was arranged by the Big Mom pirate group or the nature of these pirates, this means that the pirates on the Fishman Island are gradually reducing their fear of flowing clouds, which is not a good thing. The chaos has basically become the norm, so much so that two drunks who were vomiting at the same time dared to throw the wine bottle toward the center of the road, and almost hit Qin Luo. Advertisement. Look at what you look at. Be careful to blow your Arankar equipment. There were 2 drunk accomplices fighting in the crowd of onlookers, obviously there was more than one. As Qin Luo turned his head, a bunch of people turned towards Qin Luo. Glare. Qin Luo frowned and realized that things were not simple. Among the onlookers were the companions of the brawlers, but they did not help in the past, but were watching a good show. Either the person is very popular with this kind of thing, or these people are deliberately acting and making troubles, and provoke passersby to make things worse. Qin Luo's calm attitude fell in the eyes of the troublemaker as if he were ignoring and provoking. A group of people gathered around 5.4, and even the 2 in the brawl stopped. It seems to be the latter. Boy, you are going to be unlucky today, uncle, I am very upset. Do you want to know why the flowers are so red? I don't want to. Faced with the provocation, Qin Luo replied coldly. Obviously, the other side wanted to talk harshly, but Qin Luo didn't plan to give them a chance to talk nonsense. To deal with these little pirates, Qin Luo doesn't need to use any other abilities. Everyone gave a slap and lay on the ground in an instant. In the horrified eyes of other passers-by, Qin Luo clapped his hands and left. Qin Luo didn't want to care about the behavior of finding fault and touching porcelain, and even deliberately making trouble on the Fishman Island. But what did the other party mean when he came across? Does he seem to have such a weak chicken? Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 468. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Qin Luo originally thought that she could meet Tsunade and Taodu in Murloc Street, but only Hedan was seen. Even I noticed Hedan because of some coincidence. Should it be a matter of painting style? Hedan, with a broken mouth, lived in a place full of quarrels and fights in Murloc Street. Hedan just came to his main battlefield, and his skills were fully demonstrated. Talking about Confucianism and cursing on the street are not enough to describe Hedan's demeanor at this time. The atmosphere of Hedan and Fishman Street fits so well that Hedan, who wears the red auspicious cloud suit of the Akatsuki cloak, is not surprised by the scolding crowd. Probably because he thinks that the coquettish bastard who talks about it can't be a member of the Floating Cloud Pirates group, but a fan of the brains. Qin Luo also recognized him when Hedan pulled out his 3-meter-long scythe. It's a coincidence that I saw Hedan, so I will pretend not to see it. Qin Luo really didn't plan to greet Hedan in the past, and this dumbfounder might have exposed him on the spot. Even if he didn't, he would receive a bunch of glances from passers-by. It is not a normal person who can be a friend of 19 people with a brain and a mouthful. Qin Luo doesn't want to confess multiple such settings. However, because of Hedan, Qin Luo also gained a lot of useful information. Qin Luo saw a lot of acquaintances in the crowd of onlookers, all of whom were attracted by the murderous aura that Hedan accidentally leaked. Advertisement. The Phoenix and Jack the Drow, the former is the captain of the first team of the Whitebeard Pirates, and the latter is the 3 major disaster stars of Kaido. This relationship is good except for the red hair pirates who don't know where to paddle now, and the future 4 emperors will basically gather in the Fishman Island. In the end, Hedan's farce was solved by Fisher Tiger and his Pirates of the Sun. Hedan didn't seem to be here to help. Seeing how close the Pirates of the Sun and Hedan are, this girl is already a habitual offender, which makes Qin Luo a little bit dumbfounded. The farce is gone, and the crowd of onlookers who eat melons also dispersed. After thinking about it, Qin Luo chose to follow Marco. The relationship between Qin Luo and the Whitebeard Pirates is a bit special. Qin Luo feels it is necessary to figure out the attitude of the Whitebeard Pirates towards the Fishman Island. The Whitebeard Pirates, Qin Luo was rescued by the pit, and Whitebeard's personality should not be the master of the pitfalls. Marco turned left and right, and came to an old house in the alleys of Murloc Street. Sir, don't you tell me the reason for following you all the time. Marco stopped in front of the old house and turned to Qin Luo. At this time, Qin Luo was wearing a black robe, a hood and a mask. His whole body exuded the breath of being a bad person. Naturally, Marco wouldn't be naive to think that he was just passing by. Marco, the Whitebeard Pirates are also interested in the Fishman Island. Qin Luo didn't intend to hide his intentions, and was not surprised at all, so he asked what he was coming from. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. You know me, who the hell are you? Marco took off his hat and motioned his companion to be vigilant. The famous Phoenix Marco, Whitebeard's beloved son, and the captain of the Whitebeard pirates. To be honest, there are many people who know you, so it's no surprise. If you mean recognizing your cross-dress, well, I suggest you hire someone who can disguise yourself, or at least wrap yourself up like me. Qin Luo rolled his eyes and recognized what was so strange about you. It is estimated that a lot of people have found you are a fool. Advertisement. Marco looked a little stiff. According to the people who came here, he was indeed no different from swaggering into the Fishman Island. He was basically exposed to everyone. Marco said angrily. I'm not asking you about this, who are you? Explain your intentions. This Marco is trying to conceal his embarrassment forcibly. Sorry, Qin Luo refused to cooperate. Don't be angry, I'm not here to fight. I said, I just want to know the attitude of the Whitebeard pirates to the Fishman Island. As for who I am, Qin Luo chuckled lightly, urging illusion. The red auspicious cloud logo appeared on the black robe, and then disappeared. Although it was only a short second, Marco knew very well. Are you also a member of the Floating Cloud Pirates? Marco said with some uncertainty. Put away your doubts, there are not many that can do this. The Whitebeard Pirates owes us the devil fruit of the Flowing Cloud Pirates and a life-saving kindness, and now it is about to start the Fishman Island of the Flowing Cloud Pirates in a blink of an eye. Whitebeard's equipment is no more than that. Qin Luo directly mocked. You really are. But please don't slander the old man. Our Whitebeard pirate group does not intend to take action on the Fishman Island. After confirming his identity, Marco converged a lot and his attitude became more respectful. Not to mention the powerful and mysterious monsters in the Luyun pirates. The life-saving grace of Luyun to all the members of the Whitebeard pirates made Marco not dare to rush to the other side. The people of the Whitebeard pirates are not necessarily good people, but there is nothing to say about loyalty and grievances. Then why do you come to the Fishman Island, vacation? Qin Luo said. Advertisement. Naturally not. The old man said that he would not participate in the muddy waters of the Fishman Island, but he also ordered to pay attention to the situation of the Fishman Island. If necessary, we will provide some small assistance to the Luyun pirates. Marco remembered Whitebeard's order. Marco, I know there is a gap between you and the Flowing Cloud pirates, but Flowing Cloud saved our life after all. This time the muddy waters of the Fishman Island, the Whitebeard pirates will not participate, but if the Flowing Cloud pirates support if you can't help it, if you take someone to secretly take action to save Luyun's friends and family, you will also be reported as a life-saving grace that day. Naturally, Marco couldn't say this directly to the people of the Floating Cloud pirates. This is not the same as telling others that you are dead and I am here to save you. Not only will you not feel grateful for dealing with it this way, it is possible to do it on the spot. So Marco is talking about the revised version. Really? Qin Luo felt that it was necessary to re-examine Whitebeard. This person is still a personal thing. Marco nodded repeatedly. Really? It must be real, more real than a pearl. In that case, I have a plan here. It depends on whether you will participate in the Whitebeard pirates. This is also an opportunity. Grasp it. The strength of the Whitebeard pirates can not only go further, but also get the Flowing Cloud pirates. A promise made by him. Qin Luo said with a mysterious smile, looking directly at Marco. What plan? Marco was a little excited about Qin Luo's words. Qin Luo waved his hand to signal Marco to come over, and he roughly said the plan he had just thought. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 469. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Be quiet. After Qin Luo informed Marco of the plan, the scene fell into a strange silence. Marco looked at the mysterious hooded man who was probably a member of the Floating Cloud Pirates, thinking about the feasibility of the plan the other party said. Qin Luo stood aside easily. He could see that Marco was very excited about his plan, but there seemed to be some minor doubts. Qin Luo is not in a hurry. This plan is a very rare opportunity for the Whitebeard pirates. The bait is enough, it depends on when the fish gets the bait. This matter is too important, I can't be the master. I need to bring the news back to my father and let him make a decision. Marco said. Yes, but Whitebeard is not near the Fishman Island. This one takes a lot of time back and forth. Qin Luo did not force Marco to decide now. The birth of the whole plan is Qin Luo's temporary intention, and many details of the plan need to be further improved. Don't worry, we have our own contact method. As long as the old man agrees, the Whitebeard pirate group's fleet will soon leave for the Fishmen Island. And the planned time is not at that time, it must be too late. Marco, this time I finally remembered to bring the phone worm that Whitebeard gave him. Okay. I have no problem. If you are willing to cooperate with the Whitebeard pirates, you can go to Fisher Tiger on Murloc Street and tell him you are a collaborator. Then there will be differences. A member of the Luyun Pirates group will tell you the complete plan. Qin Luo said. Advertisement. Cooperator. I know. Marco murmured. When he recovered, there was still Qin Luo's figure in front of him. After bidding farewell to Marco, Qin Luo never returned to Murloc Street. Qin Luo can be sure that the safety of Murloc Street was handed over to Hedan, where he could not find Tsunade and Tautu. Qin Luo is now walking in the direction of Coral Hill. Coral Hill is a prosperous port town in the southeast of the Fishmen Island, and one of the most prosperous areas on the Fishmen Island. Compared with the Pirates Distribution Center on Murloc Street, Coral Hill is not only more commercial, but also more popular with women. Qin Luo thinks Tautu and Tsunade have a high probability of picking here. There is a very famous place in Coral Hill, the Mermaid Cafe. Even before the opening of the undersea tunnel, Mermaid Cafe had never less customers. The special feature of this cafe is that on the one hand, all the waiters are young and beautiful female mermaids, and on the other hand, the cafe also takes into account the attributes of a maid cafe. Maid plus beautiful female mermaid equals otaku heaven equals desire to consume. There is nothing wrong with this formula, and it belongs to a level close to the truth of the universe. Qin Luo has also longed for this mermaid cafe for a long time. He didn't have a chance before, and now he just wants to be a customer. I have to go to the mermaid cafe. Even if Tautu and Tsunade were not found in Coral Hill, Qin Luo felt it was worth it. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Welcome, sir, I don't know what you want to order. Listen. What a moving voice. Qin Luo's concept of a maid cafe has always been in Japanese notebooks and film and television works. It was the first time he saw a maid cafe in reality. Is there an ice and fire? Immersed in the meeting, Qin Luo subconsciously ordered a taboo series of recipes. Advertisement. Sorry customer, this shop doesn't have this. The maid and waiter said politely. The candied banana, or the love meal, the queen's training, etc. Qin Luo opened the recipe in his hand and frantically searched for these familiar names. Guest, are you here to make trouble? The maid and waiter were still smiling, only her clenched fist showed that she was not at peace at this time. Before the maid and waitress broke out completely, Qin Luo quickly ended his pursuit of the truth. Qin Luo talked deeply, and sure enough, do the legendary dish names exist on the little books? Haha, Miss Waiter, I just made a joke, ha ha ha. Qin Luo smiled awkwardly and tried to hide his past, but the maid and waiter looked a little guilty with a smirk, and it seemed a bit awkward just now. A cup of coffee and a cake, thank you. Okay, wait a minute. The waiter turned and left. Qin Luo's eyes moved with the waiter, just like they were pasted. It wasn't until the waiter disappeared from the field of vision that Qin Luo retracted his eyes angrily. Qin Luo feels that after he came to the Mermaid Cafe, the people are different. Why didn't you find that the young man had such a thin waist before? Does it look good? A voice suddenly rang in Qin Luo's ear. Subconsciously, Qin Luo told the truth. Hey, of course it looks good. After saying that, Qin Luo had a question in his mind. I just asked who I was and how do I feel familiar. Then I'll let you watch it. The voice sounded again, and at the same time a stream of air appeared on the side of Qin Luo's head. Advertisement. Qin Luo didn't have time to think about it, his instinctive perception of danger made him shrink his head. At the very moment, a fist wiped Qin Luo's mask and flew over, but did not hit him. The wall next to Qin Luo was not so lucky. When he was pierced by that fist, Qin Luo could see the horrified expressions of pedestrians outside the wall. Qin Luo thought that if he hadn't shrunk his head in time, the wall would be the end of his head. At this time, Qin Luo also saw the owner of the voice and fist clearly. Tsunade was standing next to Qin Luo, wiping her hands with a towel in her hand, while Tautu followed Tsunade with a smile. Qin Luo looked for Tsunade and Tautu and didn't look for them for a long time. As a result, they met at the Mermaid Cafe. Tsunade, Taotu, great, I've been looking for you all the time. Qin Luo doesn't know this is the first few embarrassments since entering the Mermaid Cafe. Could it be that this hit me? Ha ha. According to his previous temperament, Tsunade probably didn't bother to speak, but he gave another punch. The current Tsunade has indeed changed a lot. Even if Qin Luo was caught on the spot for stealing fishery, he just couldn't help but lose his temper at first. Thanks to Tsunade's concession, Qin Luo had the opportunity to explain his behavior and finally proved that he really came to them. In fact, it is accurate to find members of the Luyun pirate group, even if you find Itachi. But now, survival needs. How did you recognize me? And why are you here? After explaining clearly, Qin Luo asked two doubts. It wouldn't be so coincidental, could it be the arrangement of the Gate of Destiny? Tsunade and Taotu looked at each other, and finally decided that Taotu should explain. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 470. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Qin Luo did not expect such a coincidence. He just thought that Taotu and Tsunade might be in Coral Hill, but he did not expect that the two girls would happen to be in the Mermaid Cafe. Because the Mermaid Cafe has a large number of beautiful mermaid waiters, the business is good, and there are also many gangsters who molested the waiters or deliberate villains. Then you are stationed here? Qin Luo asked. The two women nodded and said that the situation was similar to what Qin Luo said. Considering that the Mermaid Cafe is an accident-prone area and the center of Coral Hill, Taotu and Tsunade simply settled in the cafe. While providing protection for the Mermaid Cafe, you can also enjoy the snacks and drinks in the cafe. Women's resistance to sweets has always been very low. Are you not collecting protection fees in disguise? Qin Luo resisted the urge of the two women to eat for nothing in the store and said, then how did you find me? Since we were stationed, there have been fewer troublemakers. Xia Li said that there was an idiot in the store. Let's take care of it. So I saw a man with a mask covering his whole body, and his voice was still that way. Familiar. Before Taotu answered, Tsunade said first. How come I'm a fool? I'm admiring the look in my eyes, okay. Qin Luo was about to fight, but in the end he was defeated by 297 in the eyes of two pairs of scrutiny. You said that is it. Advertisement. Xia Li. Who is Xia Li? Qin Luo felt as if he had heard of the name, but the specifics were not clear. It may also be a mistake. Even if the name of Xia Li is not as popular as Zhang Wei's, it is also the kind of name with a very high frequency. Xia Li is the adopted daughter of the boss here, a 4-year-old mermaid girl. Do you have any thoughts about her? Taotu sat next to Qin Luo, and stretched her right hand to Qin Luo's left waist concealedly. Qin Luo would immediately impose capital punishment as long as he answered badly. No, of course I didn't have an idea for her. Didn't I just know her name? Qin Luo hurriedly made it clear, so as not to save the two women from giving him the title of lolicon. 3 years of blood earning and death penalty without loss can only be thought of. Qin Luo is indeed interested in this mature and sexy mermaid in the future, but it is not what Taotu said. After confirming that Xia Li is the future owner of the Mermaid Cafe, Qin Luo's long dusty memories surfaced little by little. Xia Li's role in the original novel is not great, but she is so special that Qin Luo has a certain impression of her. After the death of Queen Otahime of Neptune, Luffy came to the Fishmen Island. Xia Li is the most appealing and influential female mermaid. Especially among the female mermaid, as the owner of the Mermaid Cafe, she may be more useful than the King of Neptune in some ways. This royal sister has a unique personality charm. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. In addition, Xia Li has another identity, that is, the most famous servant of the Fishmen Island. Qin Luo used to be superstitious of science, but after crossing, he changed to metaphysics. Even so, Qin Luo still didn't believe much about occupying servants and prophecies. The fate is difficult to figure out, especially after the variable Qin Luo. Qin Luo does not know whether there will be any drastic changes in the subsequent plot. But this Xia Li is different. This is a divination prediction that claims to be as high as 100% accuracy. Even if the exact time of the incident cannot be predicted, there is no mistake, whether it is foreseeing the coming of the Great Pirate Era at the age of 4, or foreseeing the fall of Whitebeard before the incident. Advertisement. Wait, 4 years old, which means Xia Li has already started her first occupation of a major historical event. Does this Xia Li really like taking care of servants? Qin Luo suddenly asked Taodu next to her. Yes, Xia Li often holds a servant crystal. No, how did you know? You investigated Xia Li specifically, you are a pervert girl. Taodu frowned, realizing that it was not simple, and stood up excitedly. Facing Qin Luo condescendingly is a triple quality, regardless of her raised voice and content attracted countless eyes from the coffee shop. It wasn't until Tsunade hurriedly pulled Taodu's hand that Taodu realized that he had overreacted, and blushed and sat down again. In one day today, Qin Luo has developed a thick skin like a copper wall and an iron wall. There were so many embarrassments that he was able to ignore those strange gazes. Peach Rabbit, where do you want to go? Don't say this. Did Xia Li make a prediction about the era of the big pirate? Qin Luo lowered his voice, and now many of the mermaid cafes are paying attention to them. He doesn't want to take this kind of mysterious thing made everyone know, and it could be regarded as a kind of protection for Xia Li, the future royal sister. I seem to have heard from the owner of Mermaid Cafe. At the beginning of the year, Xia Li made a prediction in this regard. However, the bosses all regarded her as a child's mischief and luck. See Qin Luo another point, Tsunade said softly. At the beginning of the year, it was before Roger was executed. Could it be that in addition to the White Star, Neptune also sent a prophet? This Xia Li is probably an iron prophet, so let's check it out. Go ahead. You pay attention to this Xia Li, I feel the power of destiny in her. Qin Luo said. Advertisement. Didn't you say you haven't seen Xia Li? Taodu looked at Qin Luo suspiciously. Qin Luo said for a while, he couldn't say that he had read the original book and knew that Xia Li had the ability to occupy a servant with 100% accuracy, because he didn't know the explanation, so he wanted to fool it with mysterious terms. It doesn't matter. Anyway, if you have the opportunity, pay more attention to this little mermaid girl named Xia Li, and if necessary, provide some help and prophecy books. Forget about the books, I will look back for Oharana. The group wants it, Qin Luo said solemnly. Seeing that Qin Luo was not joking, Taodu and Tsunade did not understand what he was thinking, but they agreed. When will you return to Dragon Palace? I have something to discuss with you. After explaining the protection of the future mermaid sister, Qin Luo remembered the purpose of this trip. It's okay now, but it's boring in Dragon Palace. There are free snacks and drinks here. Taodu said as he ate the cake ordered by Qin Luo. Tsunade also nodded in agreement. Hey, it's really good for you to say that. The waiter is just around the corner. And this is the cake I ordered. Qin Luo looked at the two silently. You go to inform Itachi and Nine Tails. We will see you in Dragon Palace later. There are some things that need to be discussed with you. Inviting the Whitebeard pirates is just a game played by Qin Luo, but the invitation has already been sent out, and Qin Luo feels it is necessary to discuss it. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 471. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. With Taodu and Tsunade coming forward, several other members of the Luyun pirate group soon received the news that Qin Luo was returning to the Dragon Palace and began to return. Boss, good. The first one arrived was Nine Tails. It turned into a little fox with 4 short legs, but it was not slow at all. Just 1 second after Nine Tails arrived, Itachi and Hidan also arrived at the same time. Together with the 2 women who had returned early and Neptune who had settled the accounts, all the personnel were there. Itachi, who had always been paralyzed, bowed to Qin Luo and then stood on the side and stopped talking. Contrary to him, Hidan started chattering as soon as he came in. Boss is back. How about the wild flowers outside? Does it smell better than family flowers? Adhering to the principle that if you don't die, you won't die. Hidan, who has a serious self-harm tendency, aroused the nerves of Qin Luo and the 2 women with a single mouth. What greeted Hidan was Tsunade's strange force punch. Hidan, who had not yet figured out the situation, was punched in the stomach with all his strength. Suddenly, he bent his body and fell to the ground like a cooked shrimp. Tsunade said that it was the first time since losing Jiraiya, a high-level human sandbag. Tsunade, if you are sick, you can't be gentle like a woman. Hidan fell on the ground without stopping, and said to Tsunade. Before Tsunade broke out, Shin Luo separated the two quickly, otherwise this meeting would not be necessary. Since everyone is here, then we will start. Shin Luo said, beckoning to Neptune. Advertisement. Neptune, who had been waiting, got Shin Luo's signal and began to report the collected information. The information that Neptune collected was not secret, and it was obtained from some pirates on Murloc Street and some intelligence sale organizations. Some have even been published in newspapers. There is no way. Shin Luo has not yet started to build his own intelligence system. The Fishmen Island, which was difficult to integrate into human society because the news was blocked before, is even more hopeless. According to Neptune, the most recent news is about the undead fleet. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The threat of the undead fleet is getting bigger and bigger, and after leaving O'Hara, it has slaughtered several port cities one after another. Many residents of Shihai port towns fled the cities where they lived, either seeking refuge inland or hiding at sea. And there are signs that the undead fleet is moving to the South China Sea. Another marine slaughtered O'Hara, and the team claimed that O'Hara studied ancient taboo content and summoned the undead fleet. In the end, he was slaughtered by the undead fleet. As for the Red Earl, this person has never appeared since Chateau's castle appeared, just like the world has evaporated. It's not that Neptune is inadequate, but that the only information that can be collected is this. Shin Luo once again felt how necessary it is to build his own intelligence system, at least not to become blind. Finally, Shin Luo added some information about the undead fleet and O'Hara to everyone. Nipton, according to what you said, Marine didn't stop the undead fleet. Tsunade, as expected, had done Naruto, and found something in Neptune's limited intelligence. Advertisement. Neptune shook his head, not knowing whether he meant to say that Marine did not stop or he did not know. Marine was so frustrated that until he found a way to effectively destroy the undead, he would never die with the undead. Chateau's city was sold by Marine, and the place where another undead fleet was sealed was easily handed over by Marine. Now I don't think it is possible to let Marine take action to protect those civilians. Regarding Tsunade's question, Shin Luo has the most say, but he witnessed Marine's despicable behavior throughout. How can Marine be like this? That's the lives of countless civilians. Among this group of people, the only one who has the most complicated feelings for Marine is Taudu. From Admiral, who was the candidate of Marine to the present, to the extreme disappointment of Marine, Taudu knows the truest Marine a little bit. There is no justice, only benefits. The matter of the undead fleet will be postponed. I have asked the scholars of O'Hara to continue to study, and I believe there will be results in a while. Now the first thing the Fishmen Island has to solve is the Big Mom pirate group. The Marine fleet is returning to naval headquarters at full speed, which also means that the day to execute me is approaching. Shin Luo's mouth showed a playful smile. The world government and 5 elders birdmen can't wait to turn Luyun into a past tense. This is how I hate me. On the day of execution, not only the Holy Land Mary Geois will be very lively, but the Fishmen Island will also enter a state of war. It is now certain from many aspects that the Big Mom pirate group will attack the Fishmen Island on the day Luyun's corpse is beheaded. As for my plan to invite the Whitebeard pirates to join our plan, what do you guys think? Do you have any suggestions? Shin Luo only gave one idea, and I need to ask the rest about how to cooperate with Whitebeard people. This matter was handed over by Shin Luo to Tsunade and Itachi, and Shin Luo did not intend to intervene too much. Tsunade and Itachi were lost in thought. There was no Whitebeard pirates in the previous plan. Suddenly there is such a helper, and some things need to be changed. Advertisement. It's a good thing to invite the Whitebeard pirate group. One more helper has more power. The Whitebeard pirate group is responsible for destroying the other forces of the Big Mom pirate group. Our pressure is also lighter, at least for the Fishmen Island. The loss will be much less, I have no opinion. Tsunade first agreed, saying that there was a pause, and the conversation turned and said, but this also increases the risk of exposing our plan. We must plan for the worst. If the Whitebeard pirates also have a lot of ideas about the Fishmen Island, we are not inviting helpers, but robbers. Shin Luo nodded. Indeed, as Tsunade said, he cannot be too relieved of the Whitebeard pirates. Itachi, the contact with the Whitebeard pirates is up to you. I told Marco of the Whitebeard pirates. If they have ideas, they will contact Fisher Tiger. Then you will see the Whitebeard pirates. What idea did the thieves fight? After thinking about it, Shin Luo finally felt that it would be better for Itachi, who has been an Anbu, to come forward and come in contact with the Whitebeard pirates. Although Tsunade also has this ability, she is a medical ninja after all, and her professionalism is not right. Leave it to me, I know how to do it. After being spotted by Shin Luo, Itachi, who had not spoken, stood up. Then give me some tasks too, boss. I am very capable of business, Fisher is my little brother, and now I have the final say on Murloc Street. Hidan said with a foul face that was unwilling to be lonely. Well, the security of Fishman Street is up to you. You did a good job. For Hidan, Shin Luo said that he just didn't make trouble. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 472. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the days that followed, Shin Luo stayed in the Fishmen Island, mainly working with Tsunade and others to perfect the plan to deal with joint forces such as the Ant Pirate Group. Perhaps it is because the Fishmen Island where there are Itachi, Tsunade, Hidan and others, even if there is no flowing cloud, is a hard bone to chew. Now in that joint force, not only the Ant Pirates, but also various underground forces and New World pirates all participated in, wanting to take a share in this feast. The Fishmen Island has become the most prosperous port city on the Grand Line, especially this island will still be controlled by the pirates, and all the forces are not calm. During this period of time, there is one good news and one bad news for the Fishmen Island. The bad news is that Kaido's Beasts Pirates has also joined the Ants coalition. The good news is confirmed by Itachi, and the Whitebeard Pirates have joined the plan and are still a trustworthy ally. At the same time, this also means that the Fishmen Island is about to usher in the 3 wars of the 4 emperors in the future. Advertisement. As time approaches, the Marine fleet returning at full speed is about to reach the Holy Land Mary Geois. The Fishmen Island, the Chambordian Islands and the Holy Land Mary Geois are very close to each other, and countless forces have gathered here. Whether they were invited to observe the execution of Luyan's corpse or prepared to participate in the offensive and defensive of the Fishmen Island, ships appeared in the ports of the Fishmen Island and the Chambord Islands, and many ships loomed in the nearby sea. Look at whether the Fishmen Island has become more prosperous recently. Standing on a high tower in Dragon Palace City, Shin Luo said, looking at the lively city and busy port below. In the past few days, although the number of people coming to the Fishmen Island has been increasing rapidly, public security has improved. The people who deliberately made trouble before have also disappeared. It's nothing more than the calm before the storm. I don't know how many of these merchant ships that are full of ports are actually converted from pirate ships and battleships. Tsunade's faint voice came from behind Shin Luo. Ha ha. At Tsunade's splashing cold water, Shin Luo smirked awkwardly, and then said leisurely, "Are you all ready?" Okay. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. In one word, Tsunade's answer was very brief, but after thinking about it, she added, "There is news from Itachi that the Whitebeard pirate group has also arrived. Whitebeard said that there is no problem with our arrangements." Tsunade actually wanted to confirm one more thing, but he swallowed without saying anything. Very well. Leave it to Itachi over there and let him decide on his own. Just say what you want to say, don't hide it. Even if he didn't turn around, Shin Luo could know the strangeness of Tsunade's hesitation. Advertisement. That technique, you can really release it again, will it cost you a great price? Tsunade didn't believe in Shin Luo's abilities, but as far as she knew, the person who cast the technique had a bad ending. That technique was released with life. Surgery. Which technique? Shin Luo was puzzled, but immediately knew what Tsunade was referring to. Revolving Heaven Technique. This technique released in the world of Naruto at the cost of the life of the owner of Rinnegan, can save people who have just died. This technique can be said to be the premise of all the plans made by Tsunade and others. If you wanted the Fishmen Island to resist the attacks of so many forces, the plan must be fierce enough. And the Revolving Heaven Health Technique guarantees that the Murlocs and mermaids will not be annihilated because of this plan. You mean Revolving Heaven produces technique? Don't worry, the cooling time of this technique has been improved a few days ago, otherwise I won't bring it up. Besides, I've already released this technique once, you are also there, yes. Do you think I'm struggling? Don't worry, there is a cost to release this technique, but the cost is very small and can be ignored. Shin Luo comforted Tsunade, but in his mind he thought, the cost, does the cooling time of 1 year count? After all, the time of 1 year is indeed a bit long. If it weren't for Hidan to mention Nagato inadvertently when discussing the plan, Shinluo would have forgotten this skill that Shinluo had thrown in the corner because of being in cooling for a long time. When looking through his skill list, Shinluo also saw a very practical but painful skill. Distinguished Heavenly Gods, the strongest illusion in Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. This god level, which claims to have only a 1-month cooldown, has not used the light in 5 elders after being too strong. Calculating the time, it has been almost a year and a half, but the cooling time of the skill is stuck at 99% and it stops moving. Yes, this can just be stuck at the last juncture, just like the learning materials of some island countries, and it is declared invalid. Shinluo hasn't felt this kind of lustful feeling for a long time. This is a loophole, a naked loophole. System, I ask for compensation. Compensation does not exist, because this is not a loophole but a hidden consumption pattern. The system tells Shinluo that the cooling time of distinguished heavenly gods cannot be transferred completely because the system version of distinguished heavenly gods can only control one person. If you want to reuse it, you can kill the previous victim, or spend points to buy a new quota. Advertisement. As soon as Shinluo learned the number of points required for the new quota, he gave up his intention to purchase it. With that point, he immediately awakened to the new ability. But if you want to go the other way, you can't get through. As one of 5 elders, Guang is too strong and can be resurrected after death. If you want to kill him, you have to pay 100,000 points. So Shinluo entered the endless loop called poor, and distinguished heavenly gods became a decoration. Sure enough, you can become stronger as long as you recharge. How real, this horse surname system. At the same time, the combined forces that attacked the Fishmen Island, world government and marine were also making final preparations for tomorrow's actions. Tisk Tusk, the Red Earl did not come but sent a kid. I have never heard that the Red Earl has a subordinate. Gecko Moria, after being seriously injured by Shinluo, he came back alive with a single breath. I haven't heard from Gecko Moria again before, and Shinluo thought he had died at 0.5 epoch. Earl Red has something to do, so I entrusted us to come. Introduce yourself. Don Quixote Doflamingo, the patriarch of the Don Quixote family, is also the current collaborator of Earl Red. It was Doflamingo who came to replace Earl Red. Doflamingo said with an exaggerated smile, giving people an indescribable sense of evil. Moria, I have confirmed the identity of Doflamingo. Do you have any doubts? Kaido was speaking. As soon as Kaido spoke, the people present couldn't help but turn their eyes to him. Kaido is not a warm-hearted person, it only means that he and Doflamingo have reached some kind of deal. Everyone couldn't help but glanced at Doflamingo more. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 473. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The blue sky is thousands of miles away, the sun is shining, and the sea breeze is blowing the flags. From time to time, a few salutes fly across the sky, setting off the celebration-like atmosphere. Marine warships arrived at the port on the side of Mary Geoise, the Holy Land, and they were arranged in order. All warships are decorated with flowers and ribbons. Yes, as long as the people in the world government are willing, there will be no problem with the execution as a banquet, even if it is not much different from the celebration now. The entire execution ceremony will be carried out in the same way as a celebration, with speeches and programs, and there will be a banquet after the execution is completed. The newly built Holy Land Mary Geoise revealed its mystery for the first time, inviting visitors from all over to participate in today's grand ceremony. Every royal family, big bosses from consortia and chambers of commerce, and leaders of famous organizations and forces are all in the ranks of inviting people, and there is a feeling that all nations are coming to Korea. This kind of grand occasion is not even comparable to the World Summit held every 4 years. Half an hour before the execution ceremony, the invited guests came to the Holy Land Mary Geoise one after another. Advertisement. Father, why did the world government and marine perform the execution ceremony for a person who has died, and it is so grand, even a little? It is a pair of father and son who are talking, and the father and son who can be invited here will not be ordinary people, and the simplest is the king of a small country. The younger man, probably more than 20%, asked his father, saying that in the end the man had some confusion, and he seemed to be unable to find suitable words to describe the feeling in his heart. Cobra, do you think this grand execution ceremony is grand, but it seems frivolous and not serious enough? The man's father is a gray-headed and humble old man. He held a scepter in his hand and his voice was very kind. Yes, father. The man calmed down a lot after hearing his father's voice. Then you are wrong. The execution of Luyun's body is just an addition. Perhaps the world government really hates Luyun, but as a mature politician, every decision he makes is for gain, not for venting emotions. The real protagonists of this execution ceremony are the world government and those of us who have been invited. It's miserable. In the mouth of the old man, Ryun, who was executed, can't even get along with the master Kakuzu. You mean, the purpose of the world government's move is to deter our invited guests? The man said uncertainly. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. It's almost done, but not all. Have you seen the media reporters over there? Do you think they are eligible to receive invitations? So these long-armed media are all invited by the world government. World government and Marine want to catch the power of the media and bring up the prestige they lost in Luyun's hands. Their goal was the whole world from the beginning. If their goal is achieved, let alone the execution of a corpse, it will be no problem to refer to a deer as a horse. The man took a deep breath. He didn't expect that the grand execution ceremony was behind such deliberate deliberations. He thought the world government was crazy before. As a result, the world government is not only not crazy, but also makes those people who think it is crazy become fools. Cobra, you have to remember that although our Nefertiti family did not move into the Holy Land, we must grasp the minds of those guys in the Holy Land. This world is not something you can think of. Marine. And the power of the world government is extremely powerful. Advertisement. The man named Cobra and the name of the Nefertiti family are not wrong. The father and son are obviously the rulers of Alabasta, members of the Nefertiti family. At this time, the young Nefertiti Cobra has taken the position of king, but now he is too immature. Many things need the old king's advice. The old king also seized every opportunity to educate his son. Yes, father. When he was young, Nefertiti Cobra still had the spirit and firepower that was unique to this age group, unlike the bitter hatred more than 20 years later. In the chat between the father and son, it was time to start the ceremony. Nefertiti and his son were taken by the waiter to the edge of the square where the ceremony was. As one of the 20 royal clans that founded the world government 800 years ago, the Nefertiti clan did not follow and live in the Holy Land, but as the ruler of Alabasta, this clan guarded the ancient weapon, Pluto, for a long time. Therefore, the status of Nefertiti and his son is very high, and their seats in the stands are right next to the celestial dragons. With a suggestion from his father, Cobra already knows the intentions of Marine and world government. With a twitch, Five Elders' speech became dull. Cobra pretended to be listening, but in fact all his attention was focused on the execution platform in the middle of the square. This is a stone execution platform, many times higher than the wooden platform when Roger was executed in Logue Town. On the execution platform stood 2 rows of costumed execution officers. How everything came about. On that stone platform is Luyun's corpse, but it is said that it has been completely unrecognizable and has no limbs. But even so, Cobra was still curious about the appearance of God's body after his death. The god of flowing clouds, this mysterious man left a deep impression on Cobra's eyes. Advertisement. Cobra, who had been staring at Luyun's corpse, was surprised. He just saw the corpse move. Cobra looked at 267 in a panic to see the execution officers around and on the execution platform, and found nothing unusual. Could it be his illusion? This must be the case. Cobra expounded the matter with a consolation. Soon the speech of 5 elders was over, and the execution ceremony finally came to the fore. Following 5 elders' orders, the execution officer on the execution platform turned on the guillotine switch, and the guillotine blade created by Seastone appeared above Luyun's corpse head. No one would doubt that after the sword edge of the guillotine fell, the corpse of Luyun below would be cleanly cut to pieces. Everyone stared at the guillotine. As 5 elders said, this cut will be the past of an era, the beginning of a new era, an era belonging to the world government and Marine, not the era of the big thief. So under the eyes of everyone, the seastone sword that represents the times fell down and slashed on Luyun's corpse. But the next scene was extremely bizarre. Newton would cry when he watched it, and Galileo saw it and wanted to hit someone. The falling Seastone's sword bounced again. Yes, you read that right. Seastone's sword edge bounced. Lu Yun's body is intact. There was a lot of discussion in the entire square, and many people looked at the direction of five elders with weird eyes like a joke. They really want to know how five elders will end up with such a farce. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 474. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the stands, the faces of the five elders were somber as if they could squeeze out water. The one in five elders with beige beard and hair turned to look at a government official nearby. I think you need to give us an explanation as to why this happened. The official in question was the one who was solely responsible for the execution ceremony, and Doda's sweat kept coming out of his head. Before, he thought it was his ancestral grave that had smoked, so he could take on this task in the eyes of a colleague's envy. The ceremony went well, at least before the execution, five elders was satisfied with everything. But at the moment when the sword edge bounced, the dream of getting promoted and getting rich suddenly disappeared, and maybe he would have to take his own life. No, it must be so. If he can't be handled properly, the world government will definitely push him out and describe him as an undercover agent for the Luyun pirates in order to save some face. Master Five Elders, I don't know either. The guillotine is made of the best steel combined with seastone. I dare not cut corners. It's really not my fault. After thinking about it, the official still couldn't think of the reason why this happened, and finally explained to five elders almost in tears. What can he do? He is also desperate. It's not your fault. It's mine, trash. The old man with beige beard and hair screamed directly. The officials have to argue, but five elders will not give him another chance. Advertisement. Go down and explain to the people from CP0. The official slumped to the ground with a limp, and he was finished. Luyun, this bastard, won't let anyone live in peace. Gangu Kong, if you personally executed the corpse, you can count as Luyun's face. After the initial panic, the scared old man in five elders calmed down and threw a famous sword to Marshal Marine's steel skeleton and sent him to execute his execution. Must live up to his trust. The complex-looking steel skeleton took over the famous sword thrown by five elders. In fact, he was very reluctant to accept this task. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Luyun's corpse was strange now. But the old man's scar had already spoken, and he couldn't explicitly refuse. That being the case, I can only do my best to cut off Luyun's head, otherwise, in front of so many heads of countries and powers, his dignified martial marine will only become the laughing stock of the world. The sword is a good sword, and it is a very sharp sword. As Gangukong pulled him out, the crisp sound of sword calmed the noisy square. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The black armament hockey was rising up the sword and quickly wrapped the whole sword. Aiming at the head of Luyun's corpse, Gang Gukong began to accumulate his strength. He wanted to make sure that if the sword went down, Luyun's corpse would be cut in two pieces, even if the entire execution platform was chopped up. Dead. With Gang Gukong's loud shout, the sword he held with both hands was quickly chopped off, like black lightning. As the long sword was swung, the sharp sword energy cut through the sky and spread along the direction of the cut. A long crack was plowed into the bottom of the square, and the stands did not stop until they were near the edge of the square. This is only caused by the pure power of swinging the sword. Without any sword skills, it can be seen that Gangukong has exhausted all his strength in this cut. But can this be a reason for being broken? Yes, when the sword hit Luyun's corpse, it made a crisp sound. Ryun's body was intact, and the big sharp sword 21's shattered little by little from the blade, together with the hockey attached to it, shattered like glass. Advertisement. The flow of time became slow at this moment, and the entire square could quietly hear the sound of the fragments of the sword falling on the execution platform and the sound of swallowing saliva. In this silence, an unfamiliar voice sounded. I said you can't wake me up in a gentler way. It really hurts. Who is it? Who is talking? Whether it is Gang Bone Kong or the people in the stands murmured like that. In order to answer their doubts, Chin Luo, no, it is still Luyun's corpse, slowly floating from the ground. Pretend to be a ghost. Steel Bone screamed, and Hockey's fist blasted towards Ryun's corpse, but was immediately stopped by a black protective cover that appeared suddenly. Black flames burned on the protective cover, and gradually turned into the shape of the upper part of a skeleton. Susano's initial appearance. Familiar abilities and familiar feelings came back again, and Gangukong seemed to flash the battle between Luyun and the old sword-wielding man in Five Elders once again before his eyes. Knowing that the black flames are not easy to provoke, Gangukong quickly withdrew his fists, stepping back a few steps. Isn't Lu Yun dead? A ridiculous idea came into his mind. Itachi of the Luyun pirate group. I didn't expect you to have the guts to grab the corpse. You did the things before. But don't even think about leaving when you come. For this kind of thing, Five Elders is uncharacteristically calm. Perhaps it was long ago that people from Luyun pirates would come to grab Luyun's body. In the square, there are countless good players from Marine and World Government, just waiting for them to join the net. Now that the Lord has come out, Five Elders also referred to the previous farce as a means by the pirates of flowing clouds by the way. Advertisement. Father. Cobra shouted out in surprise at the rapidly changing scene. I underestimated the world government. They still have plans to wipe out the floating cloud pirates, and they don't care about the life and death of so many visitors. Cobra said solemnly. But the next thing will make them even more shocked. Inversion, inversion and inversion, infinite inversion is the theme of this execution ritual. Oh, it's Five Elders, why do you think I am my subordinate? I can obviously be resurrected, just like you, I have eaten the upgraded life. In Susano, the broken body began to recover, the broken limbs grew back, and the scars healed little by little. A weird stance broke out, enveloping the entire execution platform. The overwhelmed execution platform shattered into stones of different sizes. Amidst the rising smoke, a man opened Susano and walked out slowly. The cloak with red auspicious clouds and black background, and the mask that can't be seen clearly, who else could it be if it wasn't Luyun? Everything is a performance. Through Mangekyo Sharingan's illusion, Shin Luo got involved among the costumed execution officers from the very beginning. Flowing clouds. God. The visitors on the square stands felt that they hadn't been as surprised as they were today. I don't know who it is, but he is not alone anyway, so he called out Luyun's name. You forgot about the old man with the sword. It's really cool. At least I still thank him now. Shin Luo said slowly while looking at Five Elders. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 475. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Shin Luo's words seemed to have dropped a blockbuster among the crowds in the square. Not only can Luyun be resurrected, but Five Elders also have the ability to resurrect. What is the upgraded fruit of life? Could it be that Five Elders' immortality and the ability to resurrect are related to it? There is also the old man with a sword that Luyun said, is it the Five Elders that has not appeared, so it seems that one of Five Elders has an accident, and may even be dead. There were too many real things, and the onlookers looked at each other, saying that happiness had come too suddenly, and the amount of information just exploded. Nonsense, the remnants of the Luyun pirates are killed. Behind Shin Luo, a voice came from the ruins of the execution platform, and a black shadow also broke through the smoke and dust. Marshal Marine Gangbone Kong, this man who was forgotten for a while, used his right hand to charge Shin Luo as a finger pistol. The phantom of the sky enveloped Shin Luo without leaving a gap. This scene just confirmed the old saying, the thunder is heavy and the rain is little. The momentum was horrible, and it was like Benlei's finger shadow. It was a flash in the pan. After meeting Susano of Shin Luo, they were all confiscated without causing a ripple. Advertisement. With such an ordinary move, if you want to sneak attack, why do you still shout 070 out loud? I have to say that Gangukong made the most stupid decision. Cracking noise. Gangbone Kong's attack failed to break Susano's defense, but the intense percussive sound it brought made Shin Luo extremely irritable. Susano's flames became more and more vigorous, and the arms of the two ghosts and gods were turned out, and they hit the steel skeleton with a single shot, flying them far away. Let's do it. Whether he is the resurrection of Luyun or the remnants of the Luyun pirates, he will know after he has fought. In the stands, the old man scared said after seeing Marshal Marine Gangukong being repelled by a move. Yes. Behind the scared old man, several liaison officers who had been on standby quickly connected the phone worm in their hands after receiving the order, and the hands-on orders were communicated one by one. In less than half a minute, two groups of people appeared on the square and surrounded Shin Luo. A group of marine troops led by Aokiji, Akainu, Kizaru, and Sengoku led a group of Marine lieutenants. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The other group is the secret police force from CP0 to CP9, the spy agency of the world government. Shin Luo took a lot of time to watch the world government set up troops to deal with him. This time he was here to hit the world government and Marine fiercely. What if they didn't let them use their full power? It is to wait for them to set up their formation and give them a head-on attack when they are full of confidence. No, you have to do it here. Aren't you afraid to affect the visitors to the stands? Shin Luo said pretendingly. Advertisement. Huh, now I know that I'm afraid, bluffing guy. What does the small casualties have to do? Everything is for Marine's justice. Such a simple formula can be directly counted, except for Garp, only Akainu. This man is deeply poisoned by the justice in his heart. Shin Luo seems to give a thumbs up to Akainu. This is so cooperative. During this period of time, I knew that Shin Luo and the world government were about to fight, and the invited guests from the stands went to the refuge area one after another under the help of the waiter, but there were still a small number of people who had not had time to leave in the stands. The conversation between Shin Luo and Akainu was clearly heard by them in the empty square, which made their eyes look at Marine much worse. Even civilians, Marines will be angry if they don't take their lives seriously, let alone these people are either bigwigs or royals from various countries. Huh, inferior tactics, but you dare to put us in formation. I don't know if you are arrogant or ignorant. But it's okay, it also gives the guests enough time to evacuate. At this time, Marshal Marine who was shot flying didn't know that he had returned from that corner at this time. I don't want to, but if the fight really breaks down, these royal nobles have suffered a lot of damage here, wouldn't it be just what you want to say to Marine and the world government? The pot gives me the back of the cloud, and you control their country by changing hands. They still have to use their army against me. I'm sorry, I have never been a Lei Feng. Shin Luo's voice is very loud and can be heard by almost anyone who hasn't walked far away. It is impossible for Shin Luo to let go of this excellent opportunity to splash dirty water, and who said that world government has no such thoughts. Do it. 5 elders hated Shin Luo's mouth, and directly greeted people to do it, not giving Shin Luo a chance to speak again. The anchor of time and space. The one who wanted to take action most was Deadpool. This time the remaining 9 Deadpools all shot, and they chanted spells in 9 directions evenly scattered on the square. The anchor of time and space is not an offensive skill. Its function is to block and reinforce this space. Advertisement. Every Deadpool participating in the anchor of time and space must maintain the urging of the ban from the beginning to the end of the ban. This also means that every Deadpool participating in it can no longer use the power of space to support the battle. But this kind of effort also pays off. In this way, unless the 9 Deadpools outside were lifted, no one would be able to leave this space at all, and even the power of time and space would not be able to unfold. 5 elders is the power of time and space to defend against Shin Luo. With the arrangement of the space anchor, Shin Luo gave birth to a weird feeling, as if the air had become frozen. Combined with Deadpool's actions, it is not difficult for Shin Luo to guess the other party's intentions. Shin Luo tried to summon Kamui space, but nothing happened. Even the teleporting ability of the Overlord of the Sea is not good. This is going to be a deadly fight, but just like me. Shin Luo thought for a while. With a wicked smile on the corner of his mouth, Susanoo revealed his true appearance, a huge burning warrior. Basically, at the moment when Susanoo appeared in full form, countless attacks fell on Susanoo. A white pike rose from the ground, it was Aokiji's Ice Age. Susanoo's right hand was wrapped around 1,000-year-old ice that exuded a deep chill. This kind of ice is surprisingly strong, and it is not particularly easy to break away directly. Then came a few inflamed riding faces, this kind of Akainu in the form of the Balrog King. When Shin Luo last met, Marine was dealing with the monsters of the deep sea in the mist. Inadvertently, mountain spikes slammed out of Shin Luo's feet, depending on how Shin Luo's Susanoo was to be turned into a gourd. A Logia demon fruit power that I have never seen before. Is it a member of the secret police force of the world government? After that, there were countless sword slashes and Marine 6 styles hit Susanoo. In an instant, various cracks appeared on Susanoo's surface. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 476. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Seeing the right time, Sengoku, who transformed into a big Buddha, launched a long-charged Buddha shock wave to Qin-Luo. This shock wave was directed towards Qin-Luo himself. Obviously, Sengoku's purpose was not only to break Susanoo's shell, but also to directly cause harm to Qin-Luo. Twisting the air like a real shock wave, Qin-Luo will naturally not fail to notice. Sengoku, I should say that you are too greedy or too greedy. As the shock wave approached, Susanoo forced his body to move under Qin-Luo's control regardless of other people's attacks. The shock wave finally hit the right shoulder entangled by Aokiji's Ice Age. Susanoo's right arm broke at the sound, and scattered into sporadic flames and disappeared into the air. Although Susanoo's defensive power is very high, it still has to be broken, and its greatest advantage lies in its repair ability. In Naruto, as long as Uchiha's caster has enough chakra, Susanoo can basically do whatever he wants. Almost at the moment of disconnection, Susanoo also managed to escape Aokiji's restrictions and floated into the sky. People on the side of the world government saw Qin-Luo avoiding Sengoku's attack, and felt a little regretful, but saw that Susanoo's right arm was shattered and cheered again, as if they saw the hope of victory. Advertisement. It seems to be underestimated. Let you see the true despair. Qin-Luo muttered. The Mangekyo Sharingan in Qin-Luo's eyes shone strangely. Purple flames surged from Susanoo's right shoulder, and his right arm was reborn in the fire. Flame Control Arrow Rain. Amaterasu's flames condensed into a huge crossbow arrow, almost the size of Susanoo's calf. This crossbow arrow was shot into the sky by Qin-Luo. This was just the beginning. The crossbow arrows that came to the sky stopped at the highest point, and suddenly disintegrated into countless small arrows. Like raindrops, these small arrows accelerate downward under the action of gravity, covering the entire square. The overwhelming black arrow rain kept falling, and there was no room for shelter at all. The speed of arrow rain was not fast. It was easy to escape this square at the speed of the people below, but who allowed them to ban Guangzhou themselves? Akainu, who was the first to receive the rain of arrows from Amaterasu, is not only huge in the form of the Balrog King, but also floating in the air. Who else should he most want to suffer? Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Akainu waved his magma-condensed arms to block the flames of Amaterasu, but it was like encountering a thin film of strong acid, which was instantly corroded and dissolved by tiny black inflammation. Akainu, who became the king of the Balrog, became battered all over his body, and black flames spread on the lava, scorching him. I don't know if it's the second or third time. As a lava fruit-capable person, Akainu was burned to death by the flames. Akainu still does not know what the flame of Amaterasu is, and Marine and world government have never heard of such a black flame. Ignorance limits the imagination of these people. Marine's people fully understand the terribleness of Amaterasu. It may be the first time that the secret police force of the world government has met, but it does not prevent them from realizing the horror of this flame from Akainu's screams. Advertisement. Aokiji and an unknown person with abilities shot. 2 giant peaks were lifted from the ground, and 2 barriers, one white and one yellow, stood in front of everyone on the ground. Those who can launch long-range attacks desperately hit the arrow rain directly above, trying to break up or hit the black arrows. This effect is better than nothing. The arrow rain lasted for more than 10 seconds, and when the unknown black was invisible in the air, the appearance of the square at this time was also revealed. It was as if it had just been baptized by a meteor shower, and the entire square became bumpy. In the center of the square, there is a soil bag with a diameter of 20 meters, with some ice debris on the side. There are also some sporadic Amaterasu flames burning in the square. Qin-Luo hasn't controlled these flames all the time. When the energy consumption is almost the same, these will be automatically extinguished. After confirming the end of the arrow rain outside, the soil pack opened under the control of the capable person, exposing the people hiding inside. Even with all-out resistance and defense, many lieutenants and the world government suffered more casualties. Those who die are all the hapless ones who are attacked by the key. But in fact, as long as he is hit by an arrow once, his body will be penetrated. Even if it is not the critical part, the Amaterasu flame will double burn inside and outside of their bodies, and there are not many who can hold this kind of attack. Akainu changed back to his normal size. In front of Qin-Luo's Amaterasu, he was bold enough. He didn't dare to change into the form of the Balrog King again. The flame demon incarnation just now received too much Amaterasu flame care. Although he abandoned the outer lava shell and escaped, he was seriously injured. Another one who received special care from Amaterasu was Sengoku, with a fierce arrow on his waist. Should I say that it was the best bird? They got so big that they were looking for it themselves. All the miscellaneous fish have been solved. 5 elders, don't you do it yourself, or you are afraid of being the end of the old man with a sword. Qin Luo mocked. However, there is some bluffing, and now he doesn't have 100,000 points in his hands, and he can't swallow the upgraded life fruit in 5 elders. Advertisement. But, after a pause, Qin Luo said again. God has always been merciful, just like what I mentioned before. As long as you hand over the devil fruit tree to me, I will let you go. Luyun, don't think about it anymore, even you, using this ability is not without cost. If you want the devil fruit tree, then step on my corpse. The old man scared roared. The devil fruit tree is related to their lives. Really, handing over the devil fruit tree is no different from handing your own life to the hands of others. Fear of death is also divided into degrees. The devil fruit tree is in the first sequence, and Qin Luo's ability to strip devil fruit is also in the back row. But 5 elders, doesn't you mean that you admit that the person in front of you is the resurrected Luyun? That is, what Luyun said before is correct. You must know that even if it was dangerous, there were still many long-lived reporters staying outside the square, recording the entire battle in the square. Then hurry up and waste my time. Qin Luo snorted. His threat didn't work, so let's fight. A hole split between Qin Luo's eyebrows, one eye was opened, and 3 slightly different Mangekyo writing wheels appeared on Qin Luo's face. The blue and red flames burned in the air and slowly grew larger, turning into 2 other Suzanos. 3 flame giants of different colors were burning, reflecting the fear on the faces of everyone on the ground. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 477. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. On the other side, at the same time as the execution ceremony of Mary Geoise in the Holy Land began, the combined forces led by the Ant Pirates and Beasts Pirates also began to attack the Fishmen Island. The boats in the port of the Fishmen Island were cleared as early as last night. Needless to say, this level of war cannot be concealed. What's more, those who can run business or communicate on the Grand Line are well-informed and keen people who consciously parked the boat to the Chambord Islands. The war may be fierce, but it will never spread there, even if the two are not far apart. Even the pirates on the Fishmen Island have all evacuated. Even people with ulterior motives dare not stay at this time. Not to mention the fish people who don't worry about the pirates who stay on the island. The pirates also don't worry about the fish people. This is the Fishmen Island, not the human kingdom. There are murlocs everywhere, a human being mixed on it. It is as eye-catching as a 10,000-watt searchlight. The pirates who stayed on the Fishmen Island at this time may have been taken by the fishmen to sacrifice their flags before they started sabotage. There are not many boats in the Fishmen Island. Whether it is a murloc or a mermaid, they can swim freely in the sea, so there is not much need for this kind of thing. Their transportation basis is also mostly fishing carts. A tamed large fish is a vehicle, mostly sharks or whales. Also, because of the lack of ships, the battlefield was set at the port at the exit of the undersea tunnel. The entrance to the undersea tunnel on the edge of the Chambord Islands was directly abandoned. A large number of artillery are arranged at the port, and only waiting for the fleet of the combined forces to rise will be baptized with enthusiasm. Advertisement. As for whether there will be a fleet of boats that will start from the Shampoo and take another sea route to attack the Fishmen Island, this does not really need to be considered. Not to mention that the sea road is extremely dangerous, and you will be buried under the sea if you are not careful. And if the coalition forces really make this kind of decision, that would be really great. The Fishmen Island can teach them how to behave as long as they dispatch a pirate sun group. At the entrance of the undersea tunnel on the edge of the Chambord Islands, at this moment, looking at the past, it is full of fleets with various flags. In order to identify friendly forces, a new flag was hung on the ships of the coalition forces. 2 bones crossed in front of a fish. It means the code name of this operation of the joint forces, killing fish. After arranging the order, the ships of the combined forces began to drive into the undersea tunnel, headed by the fleet of the Ant Pirates. Charlotte Kata Curry and Charlotte Cracker from the Desert 4 Stars are on the first ship. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Kata Curry's ability to foresee the future. Observation Hockey and Cracker's ability to summon Biscuit Warriors is most suitable for the first battle, knowing that the Fishman Island is prepared. Of course, there is also the idea of letting the two wash away the previous stains. Kata Curry, did your observation Hockey see anything? Cracker walked to the bow and patted Kata Curry on the shoulder. After being slapped on the shoulder, Kata Curry gave Cracker a bad look, and patted the hand on his shoulder quietly. Cracker, you are too anxious, it's not time yet. I can't compare it. Before I left, my mother said that she will eat the dessert of the Fishman Island in the Palace of Dragon Palace tonight. Mom is serious. If we can't do it, we will be miserable. Cracker has a lingering fear. Speaking, he patted Kata Curry on the shoulder a few times. Advertisement. Cracker's words made Kata Curry couldn't help but recall the way her mother called the two of them when she set off. Cracker wasn't joking. Her mother was angry, but she never recognized her. Thinking of his mother's methods, Kata Curry couldn't help being a little afraid, so he didn't care about Cracker patting him on the shoulder. With a strong spirit, Kata Curry no longer cares about Cracker but closes his eyes and concentrates on the perception of observation Hockey. After a while, Kata Curry opened his eyes suddenly. Come on, immediately light the gunpowder, Cracker Biscuit Soldier. There was no extra action, no response was needed, and the people on the first ship immediately became busy after receiving the notification from Kata Curry. Hot sparks were ejected from both sides of the first ship where Kata Curry and Cracker were located. This modified rocket led the ship to speed up suddenly and rushed forward. Immediately afterwards, the 9 ships behind also ignited their rockets and rushed up. Come on, Tsunade, the opposite is fast. Tsunade and Itachi were ready by the port. It was Itachi who had just spoken. In the undersea tunnel, he arranged illusion crows and kept watching the movements of the United Forces fleet. He saw the sudden acceleration of the 5 ships just now. Is that right? Then just fire the cannon. Following Tsunade's order, the agreed horn for firing sounded. Although the Murlocs still couldn't see the shadow of any ships, they did not hesitate to light the fuse of the artillery. A large number of shells roared towards the exit of the tunnel. At the moment when the shell came to the exit of the undersea tunnel, a ship suddenly appeared at the exit of the tunnel at a strange speed, as if it was aimed at the shell. Regardless of whether it was on the ship or the Murloc who fired the gun, the faces of both sides became very strange. However, Cracker had been prepared long ago, and a large number of Biscuit soldiers were suddenly summoned to the front of the ship to meet the sky full of artillery fire. With the defensive power of the Biscuit soldier, it was instantly turned into ashes in this artillery fire, but it also prevented most of the artillery fire. Advertisement. The boats of Kata Curry and Cracker turned into a pile of tatters in the shells that slipped through the net, but its speed did not decrease. After rushing out of the exit, it continued to slide forward until it stopped at more than 200 meters. At a distance of 200 meters, the traps and roadblocks arranged by the Murlocs were all violently destroyed by the gliding ships along the way. The next 9 ships without the protection of the Biscuit soldiers will only be damaged more severely by the shells, but they have also completed their missions. Since the beginning of the acceleration of these ships, 4.0 did not intend to be preserved in its entirety. At the cost of 10 Vanguard ships, the combined forces plowed a safe landing site with a radius of 200 meters for themselves. The Fishman Island, my uncle is here again. In the wreckage of the first ship, an arrogant shout came out. As the debris of a ship's deck was kicked, Cracker came out and followed behind. It was Kata Curry and the rest of the crew. A large number of Biscuit soldiers are stacked on top of the semicircular landing site. Wow, the commander on the opposite side is a ruthless man. But the opposite side is so enthusiastic, shall we not respond? It was Hidan who was talking, and he was a little eager to try. That's right, it's up to the old man. Ninetails said it was completely okay. Facing the exit of the undersea tunnel is a tail beast cannon. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 478. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The tail beast cannon fell directly into Cracker's Biscuit soldiers, just like a bowling ball. The exploded tail beast cannon directly hit all hit. Even if it was not destroyed, it was blown up and down. Kata Curry, you bastard, didn't you foresee this situation? Cracker stood up embarrassedly, and as the tail beast was approaching, he summoned 2 biscuit soldiers to each other before avoiding him. The aftermath of the explosion. At this time, Katakuri, who was not protected by the biscuit soldier, walked out of a corner unscathed. It was obviously not like he was unprepared when he looked relaxed. I have said what I have said, but I can't change it, so I just don't say it. Katakuri said coldly. Ah, Katakuri, you wait for me. Cracker said frantically. Stop screaming, quickly summon the biscuit soldier, and the opposite attack has come again. After saying this, Katakuri disappeared, and it seemed that he was looking for a place to hide. There's a sentence that I don't know if I'm trying to tell you that it's wrong. Such a voice was faintly heard in the new 19-round tail beast cannon. Advertisement. After firing the tail beast cannon twice in a row, Nine Tails, who was playing well, wanted to have a big trick of the tail beast cannon, but was stopped by Tsunade. You don't have to launch the tail beast cannon if you have already given the meeting ceremony. It's useless to fry a bunch of biscuits. Save more energy. There will be a fierce battle behind. Nine Tails didn't wait to see Itachi, but it would still listen to Tsunade's orders, just because of Shinluo. The condensing chakra slowly disappeared. With a pop, replacing the tail beast cannon, Nine Tails burped, just like a dumb cannon. Under Hidan's gaze, Nine Tails returned to normal size. Fox, you just fart. Annoyed, this is Hidan's basic operation. Hidan, if you want to die, I will throw you into the opposite position later. This is a hiccup, you know, hiccup. Nine Tails, who was sitting upright, stood up and yelled at Hidan. Hey, I can't ask for it, thank you very much. Hidan touched his head, as if speaking embarrassedly. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Knowing that Hidan's thinking is far different from that of normal people, Nine Tails cursed secretly in her heart, so she was abnormal and ignored him. The people in Longgengcheng have reached a consensus. The more you care about Hidan, the more exciting this girl will be. The best thing to do is to leave him alone. After Nine Tails stopped firing the tail beast cannon, Cracker rearranged biscuit soldiers, layer after layer like arhats, protecting the entire landing site. The Fishman Island didn't fire any guns either. What's the point of frying some biscuits? It's a pure waste of ammunition. The ships of the coalition forces came out one after another from the exit of the undersea tunnel. These are mostly the main forces of various forces. The semicircular landing site with a radius of 200 meters looks quite large, but in fact it can't stop many ships at all. Advertisement. If the docking places are too dense, not only will the United Forces be incapable of showing off, but they will also become targets for the opposing artillery, exploding one piece at a time. The joint forces expected that after the entire port was taken, subsequent troops would continue to enter through the undersea tunnel and begin to sweep the entire the Fishman Island. There are 2 most obvious presences among these incoming ships. The beasts Kaido and Charlotte Linlin, the 2 future 4 emperors, are much larger in size than ordinary people, and are basically close to some young giants. Charlotte Linlin is still wearing a pink dress, wearing thick lipstick and light purple eyeshadow. Her bloodshot eyes are greedily looking at the Fishman Island. She is already in her 40s, because she loves to eat sweets. Her figure has begun to get fat and out of shape. With that smoky makeup, she is a monster. There is no typhoid fever without comparison, and Kaido, who is also very vicious, is pleasing to the eye with Charlotte Linlin's background. The beard and hair are long, the black hair is scattered to the shoulders, the left arm has a scale tattoo, and the head has a pair of horns, like an ancient demon god. It seems that something strange has come. In the intuition of the beast, as soon as the beast Kaido appeared, Nine Tails and him met. Nine Tails looked at the opposite corner of Kaido's head and couldn't tell the end. It's a man or a beast. Let alone Nine Tails, many people don't know Kaido's race. In just a few years of his debut, Kaido has already gained a lot of fame. He has robbed naval headquarters and challenged the Whitebeard pirates, ant pirates and marine many times by himself. Even if Chin Luo didn't make a sensation, it would still shock the whole world. When Chin Luo was on his own, the most headlines in Le Monde were left to him. Over there, I feel that there is an enemy. Very strong. Give him to me. Kaido said to Charlotte Linlin beside him. He came in Charlotte Linlin's boat, and he also went alone this time as a lone ranger, and Jack the Drow, who came with him, was also left on it. Yes, Charlotte Linlin wanted to say that, but Kaido was just a bit of air just now, and rushed out without waiting for Charlotte Linlin's reply. Advertisement. Kaido while running shook the ground up and down, smashing the barrier of the Biscuit Soldier's siege directly through a huge hole and ran out. Reckless man. This is everyone's evaluation of Kaido at this time, even Charlotte Linlin, who is also a monster. No matter who you are, come out and fight me quickly. If you can kill me, I will be grateful to you. 167. Ha ha ha. The cry of the demon god Kaido spread throughout the port. The murlocs beside Kaido, he didn't dare to fire the cannon at all, and he seemed to have slipped away. This kind of monster is not something they can deal with. In order to force Nine Tails to come out, Kaido ran back and forth on the mermaid's position in the port, wreaking havoc. Those cannons and fortifications were like toys made of foam to him, and they were thrown off at once. Nine Tails, let's go to war. Let that beast cause trouble, and the entire harbor position will be destroyed. Tsunade said. Hey, I've been waiting for a long time. As the words fell, Nine Tails roared, chakra wrapped it like a flame, and as chakra skyrocketed, Nine Tails kept getting bigger. Dressed in tyrannical red energy, Nine Tails rushed out with the demon fox coat and crashed into Kaido. Beast Kaido was knocked down by the sudden Nine Tails, and the scarlet chakra burned Kaido's flesh and blood. Kaido didn't care, laughed and scuffled with Nine Tails, and the black armament haki began to appear on Kaido. The black demon god and the red fox wrestled between the murloc and the combined forces. Their fists and the fox's tail kept colliding, making an unpleasant metal collision sound. No one dared to join this battle rashly, and the aftermath of the battle made the scalp numb. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 479. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Last time I lost to such a monster. Katakuri murmured to himself on the edge of the battlefield between Nine Tails and Kaido. Before coming, Katakuri wanted to defeat Nine Tails with full confidence and find his way back. In the last battle, Katakuri's observation haki was able to foresee Nine Tails' offensive route, and his biggest reliance did not fail. It was speed that caused Katakuri to lose. Although the subsequent attacks could be foreseen, there was not enough speed. As the saying goes, the body cannot keep up with the mind, which makes him a unilateral sandbag for Nine Tails. I thought that after this period of hard training, after his own speed increased, Katakuri felt that he had a chance to win. As a result, it seems that Nine Tails at that time didn't use all its strength at all. The monster was just teasing him. The more Kaido and Nine Tails fought, the more ugly Katakuri's face was. Unwillingness and despair appeared on this proud man's face at the same time. It was like the deadliest poison, infecting Katakuri's heart little by little. The people on the side spontaneously stay away from Katakuri, and anyone can tell that Charlotte Linlin's beloved son is a bit wrong at this time. The battle between the two monster-level combat powers has entered a fever pitch. There are various scars on the two bodies, including burns and wounds cut by sharp objects, and most of them are bruises left by fighting each other. Nine Tails has more tails and has a slight advantage in entanglement. While Kaido was a little dizzy with Nine Tails in a row, Nine Tails was a close-range tail beast cannon facing Kaido. It was the 3-star Leonju type, which exploded on Kaido's head, left chest, and abdomen. Advertisement. It's not that Nine Tails just keep sending it when they don't want to come. There really isn't so much time to gather chakra. And after the previous fierce fight, the tail beast cannon of this intensity was about to be connected, and even Nine Tails had to gasp after the attack. There is no doubt about the power of the tail beast cannon, as long as one shot is enough to evaporate most of the members of the joint forces at the exit of the undersea tunnel. However, 3 consecutive short-range shots like this really failed to get rid of Kaido. Kaido is very bad at this time. The front of the body is completely bloody, the bones inside can be seen from the wound on the left chest, and Kaido's surging heartbeat seems to be able to come out through the wound. With such an injury, Kaido was soaring blood, and a flexible carp rolled over and caught Nine Tails, who was resting. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Demon God, the current demon god. This idea arose in the hearts of the murlocs who watched the battle up close and the pirates of the coalition forces. It seems immune to death's Kaido is terrible no matter what. Kaido seized the opportunity and slapped Nine Tails with his tail. The one holding Nine Tails on the ground was a violent beating. When encountering this kind of thing, Nine Tails is also stunned, and it did not expect Kaido to get up and continue attacking without frowning after receiving that kind of damage. But now the right thigh of Nine Tails is caught by Kaido. It has lost the opportunity and can only use its tail to interfere and struggle. Kaido slammed Nine Tails to the ground fiercely, then picked it up quickly after the fall, and fell in another direction. Every time it was shaken, the bottom surface of the entire port would vibrate heavily, leaving a clear fox-shaped depression on the ground, which is a manifestation of Nine Tails being smashed too hard, and the huge force directly crushed the bottom surface. For 10 seconds, Nine Tails couldn't remember how much he was thrown. With Kaido as the center, a circle on the ground was full of fox-shaped holes smashed with it. Advertisement. In the end, Kaido threw the dizzy Nine Tails into the air, and the right foot attached to armament hockey rose with red and black flames, which swept across like a shooting star, turning into countless legs. In the end, these legs gradually overlapped and turned into a foot kicking heavily on Nine Tails' abdomen. Everything happened between the electric light and flint. In just a moment, the Nine Tails, which was thrown in the air, received Kaido's whips for hundreds of times. In the last moment, especially, it should be full of Kaido's strength. The sound of hehehehe came after Kaido's last kick. It was a very obvious sound. Nine Tails' ribs seemed to be broken a lot. A fierce energy directly penetrated Nine Tails' body, turning into a shock wave and blasting towards the back. The defensive formation in the direction where Nine Tails was located was bad luck, and was completely destroyed by the shock wave generated by Kaido's kick. The devastating force plowed the 3-meter-wide area again and rushed into the city behind the port. There are ruins everywhere. The remaining power took Nine Tails and flew out, hitting the ground several times, and blood vomiting from Nine Tails' mouth was everywhere along the way. Also, after playing such a set, a blood arrow sputtered from the wound in Kaido's abdomen, and the bleeding was generally unstoppable. The force used in the final attack was too great, affecting Kaido's injury, and the place where he was hit by the Nine Tails cannon further deteriorated. Both monsters fell to the ground. Is this a rhythm that will hurt both sides? It's a pity, it's not. More scarlet chakra emerged from the wilting Nine Tails. Nine Tails chakra not only burns opponents, but also has the ability to speed up wound healing. Broken bones are picked up little by little. Advertisement. The black energy on Kaido seemed to boil, and the bleeding wounds stopped and began to recover. Kaido has the physique of immune to death. The two monsters slowly stood up. They could fight again, and the battle was far from over. It's terrible, this Kaido. Is he the reincarnation of the demon god? Virgo, who was staying next to Doflamingo, said with a shocked expression on a ship that drove into the landing site. Virgo also took the route of physique and armament hockey. He could deeply appreciate the desperate power. Not to mention the demon fox monster of the flowing cloud pirates, Kaido was able to achieve this level by himself. No, Kaido is definitely not a human being, maybe he really is the reincarnation of a god and demon, Virgo thinks so. After this battle, Kaido's reputation on the Grand Line may reach a peak. No one can forget the fear he brought. Another follower of Doflamingo, Toripal said. Isn't this great? We have a cooperative relationship with Kaido now. Doflamingo's eyes cannot be seen behind the huge sunglasses, and his mouth has a strange smile, just like his code name, Joker. It's getting late. I need to remind our allies that we won't be able to keep up with the planned time if we don't attack. Doflamingo emphasized on allies. In a coalition of ghosts, allies are not as simple as it is said. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtl novel for free. Advertisement. Chapter 480. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Toripal and Virgo glanced at each other, and then each went to prepare. They know the plan of the entire United Force, or say it is outside the plan of the United Force. Don Quixote family has its own plans. Seeing his subordinates start to prepare, Doflamingo's body flew automatically, and countless transparent thin threads lifted him up and flew towards Charlotte Linlin's ship. Mom, Doflamingo said to see you. Doflamingo was brought to her by one of Charlotte Linlin's sons. Charlotte Linlin has many children, 39 daughters and 46 sons in total. Among so many people, not everyone has talent. Like this one, talent is mediocre, and he doesn't like the ant. As a result, even devil fruit couldn't be distributed, and he became a messenger in the ant pirates, and he had never heard of it. Doflamingo, what are you doing here? The battle between Kaido and Ninetales is getting into a fierce degree. At this time, Doflamingo's appearance obviously disturbed Charlotte Linlin's yaxing, and her tone was a little dissatisfied. Advertisement. Auntie, the time is almost there, and if you delay the 427 plan, there will be a problem. Doflamingo leaned down and said. The scene was quiet, only the sound of the aunt's finger tapping on the armrest of the seat, and no one dared to disturb her when she was thinking. Yes, let us know, everyone is ready to attack. Kaido and the fox are basically two monsters. God knows how long they will fight to determine the winner. But Kaido at least helped us destroy many of the fortifications on the port position. Hurry up and attack, I can't help but want to eat desserts unique to the Fishman Island. As the ant was talking, the saliva in her mouth came out. She paused, and suddenly thought of something and said, when you attacked, stay away from Kaido. This monster separates yourself and the enemy when fighting. You can't blame others if you die. When everyone heard what Charlotte Linlin said, there was a strange feeling in their hearts. Anyone present can say this, but you, Charlotte Linlin, are not qualified. When Charlotte Linlin went mad, she was no worse than Kaido, basically she didn't recognize her. But those who were present thought about it in their hearts, and didn't dare to say it at all. Thinking of the aftermath of the battle between Kaido and Ninetales, everyone felt cold and subconsciously moved a few steps away from Kaido. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The highest ranks of the coalition forces, the Red Earl did not come, Kaido went to fight, and the others were not as big as Charlotte Linlin. Now the entire coalition forces have basically become Charlotte Linlin's words. After Charlotte Linlin issued an offensive order, everyone moved. The first to rush out was a group of zombie soldiers, a masterpiece by Gecko Moria. As a consumable that attracts artillery fire from the Fishman Island, Gecko Moria's zombie business has recently been sponsored by many forces, and it has suddenly supplemented Moria's loss of shadows. Only in this way will Moria send her baby zombie soldiers to be cannon fodder so generously. Advertisement. Originally, the best choice for this cannon fodder job was Cracker's biscuit soldiers, who were basically able to push it all the way through with thick skins. But now these biscuit soldiers must guard against the artillery fire that hits the exit of the undersea tunnel, and some of them are incapable. At the same time, Katakuri, the proud second son of the Charlotte family, is obviously not in a good mood. He immediately took action as soon as he got the order to attack, and even ran to the forefront, bringing the zombie soldiers of the first echelon. Are all left behind. Katakuri's powerful and predictable observation haki is in such a situation like a fish in the water, no cannonball can hit him. On the ground full of artillery fire, Katakuri is making it possible for people to live in the forest without touching the leaves. The artillery fire seemed to avoid him, and even the dust that was blown up by the artillery fire did not splash on him. Katakuri plunged straight into the defensive position of the harbor like a sharp sword. Katakuri's speed is so fast that any murloc will kill in an instant in front of him. The trident in his hand is like cutting tofu, either piercing the murloc soldier's heart or opening the murloc soldier's neck. This person is very tricky, Hidan is up to you. Tsunade said. Jinbei and Fisher Tiger requested a shot, but Tsunade refused. With Katakuri's strength, these two people are still in danger against him. What's more, the high-end combat power of the Fishman Island is not enough now. It is impossible to dispatch two people to deal with one at once. So Tsunade sent out Hidan, who was not afraid of death. Hehe, Tsunade, you have a wise time. Such a sacrifice Cthulhu will like it very much. Hidan couldn't help but put his tongue out and added his lower lip, and flew out with a sickle. Katakuri had just chopped off a murloc soldier's head with a trident, and suddenly there was a side slashing at his waist in his eyes, trying to cut him in the middle. But at this time there was no one beside Katakuri, let alone the sickle. This was the short future that Katakuri's observation haki had foreseen. Without any hesitation, Katakuri pulled away and took a few steps back. At this moment, Hidan jumped out of the ground where Katakuri was just now, raised his sickle to the front and cut it, but cut the air. Advertisement. Why is there no one? Hidan was a little depressed and puzzled. Why did a good sneak attack be empty? As soon as he turned around, Hidan saw Katakuri, a few steps away from him. Perception type. The speed is still very fast, which is very troublesome. Boy, what is your name? Cthulhu likes you very much, obediently accept it. Hidan began to chatter. Katakuri didn't reply a word, just looked at him cautiously. Hey, a talkative, a dumb, natural enemy. The one who didn't force the other side to speak and didn't stop. The other with a cold expression said that I would lose by saying a word, and there was a picture. I hate you. Hidan found that ordinary methods were not working, and decided to pry Katakuri's mouth with a sickle. It's a coincidence that Katakuri thought so too. He wanted to sew the croaking mouth on the opposite side with the trident in his hand. Even if Hidan didn't do anything, he and Katakuri were in a spiritual game during this time. Other people from the coalition forces also attacked. Most of them are New World pirates with a reward of less than 500 million. They bring their men, as well as some other forces. When these people come over, Hidan will only become more passive. Hidan's strategy is very simple. He is immortal, and he uses injury for injury, smashes Katakuri with the fastest speed, and obtains his blood. But will it be that simple? Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Chinese MTL fan fiction, second element novel can be read at hotmtlnovel for free. Advertisement.